Well, 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 well. Who'd have thought we'd be live on a Tuesday? I think this might be the first Xbox 2 podcast live on a Tuesday, and for good reason, because I've won, and Jez has lost. The only way this could have gone down, and it's gone down exactly the way I pictured it, with me being victorious over Jez Corden.
Well, listen, bro. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong, and you were right, and it's okay because there's a first time for everything, right?
It's not the first time you've been wrong, bro. So this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't have insider sources and documents and all this sort of stuff. You make wrong predictions. You get too much in your feelings. You don't judge things accurately. But you know what? Let me do some intros. What's going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, feeling so much better after yesterday, where I felt like I was coming down with the flu. I'm the man with the million. You obviously know, because you're here. And we have the managing editor, the loser. Although I guess maybe he is the true winner, considering he's the ultimate Blizzard fanboy. Managing editor, Jez Corden, Windows Central. You're here. How you feeling today, sir?
I'm feeling pretty good. Well, I'm conflicted because, for those who don't know, me and Rand had a little bet on. It was for $100. I betted that the judge would side against Microsoft, and Rand betted that the judge would side with Microsoft. Mm-hmm. But I've said last week too, I still think it's 50-50. I'm just kind of erring on the pessimistic side because of just the way the world is, I guess. But I might have some medical expenses coming up soon, so I thought, well, I don't want to lose $100. So instead of potentially losing $100, we altered the bet, and now I have to drink a bottle of hot sauce on camera for losing the deal. And I am quite sensitive to spicy food, so we'll see how that goes down.
I had some people tell me that you needed to really choose some spicier stuff. That you basically chose some mild ass stuff, and
we can negotiate on the Scoville level.
If I really want it to be an ass, right? Because it was like $100, whatever. If I really want it to be a dickhead, I would have. And if you said, "Hey, I want to change the bet because I got some unexpected expenses coming up," I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine, that's fair." I would have said, you know what? If you lose, you can't play Diablo 4 or any Blizzard games for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that would be harsh.
I would have been no Diablo 4 during the podcast, no World of Warcraft, whatever, no Overwatch 2. You cannot play any of these future Xbox franchises, Xbox first-party franchises for the rest of the year. I figured that would be a very good thing here. And it's just like GameVet says in the chat, he altered the bet. Pray he doesn't alter it further. You're lucky I'm very amenable to this. Because you were going on this whole kick about, it's over. Oh, the judge. She's gonna, grant the injunction. You're in my DMs crying about this stuff. And I'm just like, bro, she's not. Bro, did you listen to the hearing? Did you listen? Like, it was clear as day. Even though, you never know what one person's gonna think. It was clear as day that the FTC had no argument whatsoever, and the judge was. But the interesting thing is that now you got people whining, bitching, complaining, showing their complete ass on Twitter about the judge. Like, dude. I said to Jez earlier before the show, I was like, let's get saucy up in this bitch. Saucy.
Damn.
Let's bring it, because you know what? There are literal people out there today who've deleted their entire Twitter accounts because they can't handle the heat. I'm sorry if you dish it all day long on Twitter like the freaking loser that you are, right? Because you're really involved in this console war stuff, and then things flip, and suddenly it's not looking too good for your team PlayStation or whatever, whatever team you're fighting for. Like, it was really bad for the Xbox fans when Redfall came out and everybody was clowning Xbox. Like, nobody disappeared, nobody deleted their accounts like a bunch of bitches, right? But I don't know, people that normally tweet every single day try to make themselves sound like they're the smartest person in the room and their IQs are in the 300s and how people should listen to how intelligent they are, and this deal's getting blocked, and they're so quick. Anytime there's bad Xbox news, they're the first one to tweet talking about how horrible Phil Spencer is, how awful Xbox is. They're the first ones to call you and being like, so what's up with the Xbox, bro? What's going on? How come they suck? PlayStation number one. Like, they're always the first person to do that. And then today, what do you have? A bunch of silence from people. People that are normally, you can't ever get to shut up. And suddenly, today, they can't be found. It's freaking crickets out here on Twitter. What happened? You can dish it, but you can't take it? Bunch of bitches, bro. Seriously.
Oh my god, is this Dark Rand? We're going beyond Dark Rand.
Bro, I've had enough of this crap, bro. I've had enough of this. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I feel much better today. You know what? Like, if you can't dish it, if you can't take it, don't dish it, right? Seriously. Don't hide like a little bitch. I'm sorry. That's what you are, bro. That's what you are when you do that sort of stuff. If you can spend all your time on social media talking all this crap, and then when the going gets rough, you hide your head in the sand like a coward, especially if you're someone who's always tweeting about everything and always has an opinion and always trying to rile stuff up, and then you just disappear. Sorry, but you might be a bitch. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. I mean, am I off base here?
No, I'm just letting you wax lyrical, man. What? I have noticed that my replies are quite void of trolling right now. Just a lot of salt, a lot of salty people at the moment out there, Rand, and I just. The hilarious thing is nothing's going to change for them, really. I mean, when you think about it, there's so much anger and volatility about this, but this isn't like Bethesda where like it made sense to make those games exclusive because Microsoft needed exclusives. Microsoft has said, like literally in court and under oath, Phil Spencer, that he's going to keep these games multi-platform. So it's kind of like. Surely Bethesda was the one to be really mad about, if anything. And there's nothing really is going to change here. But I think what people are really salty about at the end of the day, and what they don't want to admit is, this deal, Rand, means Xbox is here to stay. Mm-hmm. Xbox is here to stay. That's what this deal means, and symbolically, like that's a sort of level of confidence that we haven't been able to have in Xbox for years and years and years, but we're going to get into that, Rand.
Yes.
But we've got to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Yes, we did a little bit of housekeeping. You and Jen did Xbox 2 or Xbox Ultimate last week when I was busy with family. So that did happen. We will be doing an Xbox 2+1 later this month. We just need to figure out who we want to get on as a guest, really. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe we need to hit up Colin Moriarty. Do you think getting Colin on here would be? I think it would be interesting to get Colin. Like he's been a very vocal person against the deal, and I think he's even said in his podcast. A lot of Xbox podcasts don't even ask him to be on. Maybe we should reach out to Colin and see if he'd come on Xbox 2+1 and. We could talk about Xbox and the future of gaming and stuff, or if maybe he wouldn't be able to do it so soon. Maybe we can get him on some other point in time. But we have to figure out who we would want as guests to come on. Yeah. Maybe we could get Dreamcast guy. My buddy Max, who I've podcasted with before on Spawncast.
I'm
can
good
get him
friends
on.
with Dreamcast guy, man. I know Dreamcast guy is like public enemy #1 in the Xbox community, but I'm friends with Dreamcast guy, man.
You're friends with the Dreamcast guy?
Yeah, he's
I'm friends
guy.
with him
He's always
too.
been nice to me. Yeah, we'll discuss all of that kind of stuff. But Rand, before we move on, I've got to talk about something.
What do you got to talk about?
I've got to talk about something.
What?
Manscaped.
Okay.
You ready for this, Rand?
I'm waiting for this.
We are once again sponsored by Manscaped.
Okay.
Did you just win a $69 billion card case? Do you feel like $1 million? What if you could also get $1 million looks with Manscaped? That's right. Get 20% off and free shipping worldwide with our promo code XB2. Manscaped now stocks beard products, so you can rock it both below and above the waistline. Get the Beard Hedger Pro Kit full of stunning extras. 20 levels of hair cutting goodness with a precision ceramic beard hedger. USB-C powered and waterproof for in-shower trimmage. Dermatologically approved formulas for post-trim care, including beard balm, beard oil, beard shampoo, beard conditioner, and more, so you can take your beard game to the next level. Get everything you need for $1 billion beard and $1 billion balls at manscaped.com with checkout code XB and the number 2 for 20% off. And thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. You know, Rand, I have to say, I've been using the Beard Hedger Pro Kit the last couple of weeks.
You looking good? You looking
my
smooth?
beard's looking fire, man.
Yeah.
It's looking fire, man. I got like the what I really love about it though, the guard is like perfectly angled for my jawline. So like other beard trimmers I've used, you kind of have to be really careful with them, but this one is just like job done. So like no skill needed, which is exactly what I need when it comes to beard care. But yeah, it's seriously good stuff, and it supports the show. If you you want to check it out, they got all sorts of products, boxes, cologne, like clothing and stuff for your testicles, deodorant, shampoo, regular shampoo and conditioner, which by the way is also amazing. So yes, manscaped.com, checkout code XB number 2. Thanks to them sponsoring this video. And Rand, I believe we have some Patreon shout-outs.
Oh yeah. I gotta find those. Hold on. I gotta
scroll up in the chat there a little bit.
I gotta find those because this is our episode. We were supposed to do this. It's actually a good thing it all happened because we were gonna do the show on Friday, like we always do. But you were on a secret work thing, Bob. You were doing something for work, and your train was essentially delayed or whatever.
There was a full-blown power cut in the train station, so there was like 20 trains trying to get into London, and they were all stuck. So all the trains are delayed. It was an absolute nightmare, but yeah, I'll be talking about that secret mission in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you
and
then we
want to hear about it.
You were busy on Saturday, and we couldn't do it, which is good because I didn't want to like screw up over Gaz again. And then we don't normally do stuff on Sunday. And then we were going to do the show on Monday, but I woke up and I was just not feeling good. I thought I was coming down with the flu and I threw up and everything. So I was kind of like, even if the court case, even if this, like imagine if all this happened today, what happened yesterday, I probably wouldn't have done the show. And then you know what happened, guys. I'm sleeping, right? And I have my phone on my dresser next to my bed, right? I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping, I'm having a good sleep. I finally finished because I put like 60 hours in Final Fantasy 16, and then I finished that, and I finished the book I was reading. I finished Jade Legacy, the third book in the Greenbone saga, because I was playing Final Fantasy, and I wasn't because I get hyper into something. It's either like I read something and I finish it and I don't play something, or if I really play something for long, I don't read and stuff like that. So like I hadn't read anything, so I was like, all right, I'm done with Final Fantasy 16. I finished that book. I went to bed. I really liked the ending to it, right? Even started getting a little tear up with everything. I was like, oh man, this is a really good ending. And I'm sleeping and I'm counting sheep, thinking about, oh man, hopefully the decision comes soon. So I talked to Colt the night before in party chat. And then kind of wake up, and I look at my phone, and I have the sound off on my phone. Like I don't keep it on. Like if the phone rings, it only vibrates. So I have my phone on vibrate all the time, right? And I don't hear it, which is great. I look at my phone, 3 missed calls, 1 from Colt, 1 from Cognito. I have a missed call from Jez on WhatsApp. So somebody gave you my number to put you into to WhatsApp. Because then I got messages from Jez on WhatsApp. I got DMs from Jez. I got DMs, text messages from Colt. I got text messages from Cognito. I got DMs from Everborn Saga, the conspiracy master. I got DMs from Joaquin. I got DMs from other people. I'm like tagged in all these tweets. Jez made some tweet about me sleeping and stuff, and I'm like, oh, something happened, right? So I look at the phone, and then as I like picked it up, and I'm looking at all of my notifications, Jez comes through on WhatsApp, and I answer it. I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "Are you sleeping?" I'm like, "Well, clearly not anymore." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "It's done. It's over. We got ABK." And I'm like, "Oh, is it finished?" Oh, I'm like, "So that means you lost the bet." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to drink the Tabasco." And then he was like, "Oh, by the way, like, who'd you get my number from?" Not that I don't care that you have my number. I would have given you my number if you wanted, but because I know you didn't have my number, but then all of a sudden you're calling me on WhatsApp. So who'd you get my number from?
I'm not at liberty to.
You're not. Come on, I know who you got it from. You got it from Cognito. Come on.
What do you mean, bro?
Cognito told me he gave you my number. Because then I called Cognito up, and I'm like, Cognito was like, "Rand, don't you ever doubt me again. Bend the knee," and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, Jez calls me on WhatsApp. He's like, yeah, because Jez, he's like, "Give me Rand's number. I need to wake him up. We need to do this show." And I'm like, all right. So Jez,
did my WhatsApp call wake you up?
No, I was already up. It's just that as I was looking into all the notifications, your call came through. Because like I said, I have my phone on vibrate, so I don't hear anything, right?
Yeah, right.
And we already have well over 2,000 people with us live. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, hit the like button, please, and subscribe. We're going to have a good show for you. I'm probably going to make a video at some point tomorrow. We're also most likely going to be doing another podcast on Friday with some guests. Maybe get a little bit even more saucy up in here, get some, because we had a show with guests not that long ago, maybe last month after the podcast, after the showcase, I mean. So, I figured, hey, times like these, why not put on extra shows? Why not give the people what they want? And speaking of the people, we got Patreon, patreon.com/XB2. We got some shout outs here. We got Saucy Mods, James Wiseau, The Grandest of Bip, Chris Parney, Starsman, Hey Blinken, Army Dude 52C, Mr. Butterjeans, Ryan Kipple, Foreign Object, Mythic Marty, Moron Darn, Donkey 99, Mockazilla, Randall Thor 19, Silas, Eric Gregory, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Halo is the franchise player, K-Chirox, Bright Tundra 1, Jasper Shapp, Hold the Line, Justin Duell, Frank Mariano, Preview Broking, Asa T, and Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly Mofo OG, Governor Grimm, DZ Huffin, Justin Sago, Andrew Courtney, Walgerman, Achievement, The Scarecrow 121, Darren Tropey, Prof JJJ, Butterball 8, Ghostface Killa, and Ralph Wiggum. Thank you guys for supporting us on patreon.com/XB2, and we'll be, answering the questions. I'm assuming we have questions on Patreon, right? Jez? Was there a thread?
Oh, yes, there was. Yes,
there was a
thread.
Okay.
Questions.
And I don't know
some of them might be out of date now.
I mean, it doesn't matter. We didn't do a show, so we'll answer the questions. As for the gameplay, I didn't know if there was one. And I figured, you know what? What better way to kind of celebrate than by having some Diablo gameplay? Because Mike Ybarra, there was some sort of thing that happened yesterday where some Brazilian payment thingamabob said that, like, Diablo was coming to Game Pass. And then Mike Ybarra had to come out and said, this is not happening. And it was just like,
probably is now.
But like, I was thinking of replying to him and saying, not happening yet. But now it's looking more and more like it is going to happen real soon. So maybe you might get your Diablo and Game Pass. Shout out to the one and only Paris in chat, who says, the Jez double reverse triple jinx work. Bro, Paris, you have no idea what I've had to deal with Jez over the past months. Over the past, like, how long has it been? It's been, what, this This acquisition was January 18th, 2022. And it's literally July 11th, 2023. A year and like 6 months I've had to deal with Jez. And let's just say, look, this isn't, I don't mean this is disrespectful or anything, but Jez's emotions, they go up and down. They are very, very wild, and like they go in many different directions. Oh, bro, your emotion, you can get very emotional about things you care about, which is great. I get very emotional about stuff I care about as well. But when it came to this deal, you were all over the place.
Well, it's a big deal. It's the biggest. We forget, right? This isn't just the biggest deal in gaming. This is the biggest deal in technology. It's one of the biggest deals in the history of anything. So the implications for this deal were absolutely vast. Not just for like Blizzard, but also for Xbox. And it's kind of like, you're thinking like, man, if this deal falls through, what's this going to mean for Xbox? Is this going to lead to layoffs? Are they going to have to like, is Satya going to be like to Phil, well, that $3 billion is going to have to come out of your pocket? What does all this stuff mean? So yeah, the implications were absolutely vast. And, when there's a lack of information, and a lot of speculation, it's kind of easy to fill in the gaps in your knowledge with, a bit of speculation and a bit of healthy emotion.
You were so emotional, you thought you were actually going to win the bet with me. No, people are asking when are you going to drink this sauce bottle? They want to know.
I actually don't have any hot sauce right now. You don't. I actually thought I was going to win the bet.
You didn't think you were going to win. Get out of here.
I did. I thought there was a seriously high chance of me winning, but
a seriously high chance. Okay.
Yeah. Why not? 51% chance of me winning. I thought at least, but I think what I'll do is I will buy some hot sauce that I can get, and maybe we'll do it on Friday. We'll flip the camera on, and then on Discord or something, and then you can all watch me suffer for a little while during the celebration. We'll see. We'll find a way of doing it. Maybe we do it on Xbox 2 Ultimate, post a clip on Twitter or something. But
this is actually better
deliver.
Because I want you guys. I want the people in chat. I want the people on Twitter. I want the subscribers of our YouTube channel, the listeners of our podcast. Whether you listen later or you're listening live, I want you guys to win. Like, me getting $100 from Jez, it's great, but I only win here, right? But I want you all to win, so we can all revel in the fact that Jez is going to drink some Tabasco sauce for being wrong. Oh, Tom Henderson says, let him buy the hot sauce. What kind of hot sauce would you get him, Tom? Because Jez wants to drink this, like, I don't know.
Well, link me some.
Yeah. DM Jez some hot sauce.
I looked on Amazon, and it was just like, I searched for Tabasco, and there was this one that was, I don't know, 5,000 Scoville or something. You got to remember, I've got to survive this because I've got to go to work the next day. So
no, you got plenty of people. You got Miles to pick up your slack. You got Jen to pick up your slack. Well, you got other people at Windows Central that can pick up your slack as you're recovering from ingesting hot sauce.
Is that right?
You do. You got plenty of people. You got plenty of people. That's what they're there for, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, $100 I'm lost out on, and yeah, it could have been. I've been like, no, the deal is going to be you can't play, but we need to enjoy that, and I think watching you suffer for your beloved Blizzard is something that all of us will enjoy, right? Am I right, chat? All of us will enjoy Jez basically not believing in this. And right, like, dude. So last night, Jez is like, "Hey, if the judge is late on her ruling, and that means Microsoft can't close by the 18th, it means I still win, right?" Even then, he was still trying to find ways to get out of the bet, and I'm like, "No, the bet was literally." If the injunction is granted, you win. If the injunction is not granted, I win. There was no bet about whether or not the deal was actually going to go through by the 18th. You could have made a bet in that regard, and I would have bet you on it. But even then, I think you knew.
Nah, I don't
But either
know.
way, let's
Everyone says I need to have Carolina Reaper.
Oh God, you're gonna die if you drink that.
Well, we'll see. I don't eat a lot of spicy food, so even the mild stuff's gonna be bad for me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let me get through some of these celebratory super chats. If you got a super chat you want to send, if you want to revel in the greatness that is happening right now, make sure to send one. I'll be read it. And if you got a question, we'll definitely answer it as we always do. We have one here from Cliff, who says, make a bet about how long it takes for us to get the first big drop of ABK games on Game Pass. Senator series to make a great game. Good recommend, Rand. I'm really happy you enjoying the Senator series. I love it. First book is the worst because it sets everything up, but all the rest of the books are incredible. And yeah, it probably would make a really good game. But Cliff brings up an interesting question. It's something me and Cog even talked about earlier today. You know, when you talk about the deal, right? Right now, because right now it's the FTC. So essentially, we'll just kind of work through this, right? Judge Corley sided with Microsoft, kind of agreed that FTC didn't have much of a case. We'll read some of her statements and some of her reports a little bit later on. But for the gist of it, sided with Microsoft. Then, maybe even a bigger bombshell than that, although that is a pretty big bombshell. The CMA and Microsoft have what's the word for it? They've gone into a stay where they're going to negotiate.
Yeah, they've requested
a stay,
a joint request to the CAT to end the litigation and return to the negotiation table. So clearly they've got something in mind.
So when everybody was saying that the FTC and the CMA were joined at the hip, and everybody was saying that there maybe were some collusion going on, or definitely some back and forth, and the fact that we know they talked about they had some 30 some odd meetings, and here you have it, the day the FTC loses in court, the CMA's crawling back to the table, right, bending the knee to Microsoft to come up with, I don't know, it's so very apparent what was going on in that situation, right? And there's some talk of some small divestiture that maybe Microsoft will make to appease the CMA. Yeah, and I know you said on Twitter that maybe Microsoft just won't offer xCloud in the UK, which to me, that seems I don't know if the CMA, doesn't that seem like that's worse for consumers? Why would the CMA, then, I don't know, does the CMA actually care for consumer? I don't know. Jez, what have you heard in that regards?
Yeah, they've been exploring for a few weeks on, I can't remember who reported on this originally. I think it was one of the mainstream, it was Bloomberg maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there was a report that Microsoft was already exploring, how they could appease the CMA. Because I'm guessing Microsoft, as their scenario planning, they probably planned for this scenario, right? The FTC gets defeated, maybe they walk away, and they've immediately turned their attention back to the CMA. And almost like clockwork, the CMA and Microsoft, within an hour of the agreement, within an hour of the ruling, they were on the phone with the CMA, and then the CMA and Microsoft together were on the phone to the CAT, and they were like, "Yeah, we want to end this litigation. We want to come to an agreement." So clearly something's been going on behind the scenes about this kind of stuff, and I've been hearing as well that Microsoft's been talking to the CMA throughout this court case as well. And sort of preparing for this scenario if it was to come to pass. So I think Microsoft already has something in mind. The CMA probably already has something in mind as well. And I think it could revolve around xCloud potentially. Either they agree not to put Call of Duty and Activision games on xCloud, or they sort of walk away from cloud gaming altogether in the UK and say we'll only supply content to Nvidia and PlayStation and stuff like that. But that kind of makes no sense to me because, like you said, Microsoft walks away from cloud. You're basically killing the market there because you know, by the CMA's own logic, Microsoft is the biggest cloud provider in the UK. Doesn't that harm consumers if Microsoft walks away completely? So it's going to be some kind of mechanism where it's like the CMA will be like, okay, you're contractually obligated to support all the different cloud companies for the next 15 years or some bullshit. I don't know. But clearly there's a road through this here, and the CMA is clearly being flexible. Right. They don't want this to go to court. They don't want it to go to a judge. They don't want to get humiliated like
Lena Khan and the FTC continuously gets humiliated. So as soon as Lena Khan lost, the CMA folded, bent the knee to Phil and everybody, right?
Yeah,
because it was like, okay, the deadline's the 18th, and there's reports out there. Well, I think it was like a trader reports that the deal could close as early as Monday, which is the 17th, which would be fantastic because then we could have a special podcast on Monday celebrating all this. But either way, so the question here is very pertinent. It's essentially, hold on, let me bring it back up here. It's, we know with Bethesda, when the roundtable happened, they dropped a whole bunch of games in Game Pass. And Cliff is asking, hey, how long does it take for the first big drop of ABK games to hit Game Pass? And I think that's an interesting question because it's something we know that has happened. And let's assume, for the sake of the argument, that CMA folds this week. They make some whatever, whether they pull out of the cloud gaming or whether they do whatever, they're fine with it. They come to an agreement later on in the week, and Microsoft closes the deal on Monday. Jez, how early do you see a whole bunch of Activision Blizzard games hitting Game Pass? Is Diablo 4 going to come right away? Like, what's the time frame in your mind for something like that to happen?
Well, again, I think maybe some of the groundwork for some of this stuff might have already been laid.
You don't say.
Well, I think like Microsoft's probably been like, one of the scenarios is that we do close the deal and what the hell? Alexa, shut up. So my bloody speaker's going crazy now. They're probably planned for this and they're probably ready. I don't think it's going to be as simple as flipping a switch, but as well, a lot of these games like Call of Duty and Diablo and World of Warcraft, and people always ask me, is World of Warcraft going into Game Pass and stuff like that? A lot of these games are massive, right? And you don't want to disrupt their business models, which are entrenched. That you don't want to disrupt their cash flow and all that kind of stuff, right? Even the deal closing, people that might be holding off on buying Diablo because they'll be like, oh, well, it'll come to Game Pass in a month or whatever. You have to look at Minecraft as an example of how this goes. Minecraft didn't come to Game Pass for years, 2 years after Game Pass launched. It's there now, but it wasn't there for a long time. And I think that's because they were doing some heavy analysis on how it would impact Minecraft and Minecraft's business model, which was the retail copy. So I don't think they'll rush it out. My gut says they won't rush it out, but you might see some of their back catalog on there. Sekiro, maybe. Activision owns the publishing rights to Sekiro. Sekiro hitting Game Pass would be a good shout. They've done a lot of Souls-likes into Game Pass because people are too scared to buy them. But if it's in Game Pass, maybe they can try them. Could see Sekiro in there. Could see some of ABK's back catalog in there. Hell, maybe Microsoft will even reopen backwards compatibility program and we'll start getting even older games in there. So I think there will be some movement on Game Pass, but it'll probably be older games initially. And then as the months go on, we'll start seeing more and more stuff. But yeah, it's epic time.
I could see it happening.
So
like
much stuff.
I don't know about the current marketing agreements that Sony has for Call of Duty. Like for this upcoming COD and last year's COD and the year before, maybe those would prevent those Call of Duties from hitting Game Pass. I don't know, but there's definitely some the older games they could put on there, the 360 games, the Xbox One titles, maybe some of the newer ones. Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bash probably needs to be on there because that game seemed like it died a swiftful death. The prototype games. But you mentioned back compat. I think there probably will be another drop. I don't know if they'll do it exactly like they did with the Bethesda, where they have a round table, because obviously I think Bobby Kotick is toxic. I don't think you can really do. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can have a sit down and a round table and have Bobby Kotick there talking about stuff. I think realistically, in a perfect world, Bobby Kotick would stay on and shepherd the company and kind of teach who the future head of Activision Blizzard what's going on. I think he takes his $400 million and bounces and just like, I'm gone. And, Xbox will have to promote somebody else or whatever. But
like the Twitter guy, the guy who sold Twitter, where he just vanished. He sold it to Musk, disappeared, never heard from him again.
Well, no, so you did hear from him again because he built Blue Sky.
No. You're thinking of Jack.
Oh, Jack.
I'm talking about.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about because Jack left Twitter. He made Blue Sky, he invested in Blue Sky. He doesn't actually own it. And then some other dude was running Twitter, and then he sold it to Musk, and then he bounced out of nowhere. So
right. Hey, shout out to the 2,500 people in the chat. These are some huge numbers. Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like button, share it out, subscribe if you're new. Because we still got a lot to talk about, and also we got to talk about the Xbox Illuminati, Jez. How suddenly out of nowhere, taking pictures with Xbox executives is awful. Suddenly out of nowhere, Xbox fans are paid off by Microsoft. Like,
the Illuminati.
Excuse me? The Illuminati. Like, I'm been brought up as like, oh, Rand's just paid by Xbox. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. Fuck you for even saying that shit. Look, there are people that are very jealous. There are people that look at my channel and they're like, oh, Rand talks about Xbox and Xbox in third place. Why would anybody listen to someone who talks about a whole bunch of losers or, a losing platform? They don't, it's like, they look at my subscriber number and they're like, how the hell does that dude have almost 100,000 subscribers, right? And they think, well, there's something else might be going on. Right, something else. He's got to be getting pushed by Microsoft, or something behind the scenes. No, it couldn't have just been my hard work. Couldn't have just been I was constantly making videos in since 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, hitting hitting the algorithm. Sure, you got some very clickbaity headlines here or there, or whatever. Running a podcast with Jez that people seem to enjoy. People subscribe because they want to hear my... No, it couldn't have been the hard work that I put in, that a lot of people put in. The Cold Eastwoods, the Dealer Gamings, right? It couldn't have been that. It had to have been something else. Like, oh, well, they're just a bunch of losers because Xbox is a loser and who wants to listen? No, the only loser is you. The reason, look, and I don't want to punch down because it's unseemly, but I will for just this one part, this one thing here. Xbox may be the least like console of all of them, right? And that's perfectly fine. But there's millions and millions and millions of fans of Xbox, just like there's millions and millions and millions of fans of PlayStation. And even though Xbox is, the least liked, there are still millions of people that want to learn about the games and want to learn what's coming to Game Pass and want to learn about the news and stuff. And I provide that for them. And I actually am interested in talking about it, which is why I make the videos and why we do the podcast and why we have these discussions. And I've carved out a nice niche for myself, right? However, there are people out here doing this stuff for 10 years that are PlayStation fans that are like, why am I as big as them? And I'll tell you right now, the reason why is because you fucking suck. Your content is garbage. You're garbage. That's why. There isn't some invisible hand pushing me or anybody else outside of the YouTube algorithm or whatever. It's simply because you suck. It's simply because you're not entertaining. It's simply because you're not interesting. If you were, you'd have more people watching you. People just didn't sprout out of nowhere. Like, Dirk Griggity just didn't come out of nowhere. People have been doing this for a long time. YouTube is a grind and a half to get where you are. And people don't look at the journey that you've been on. People don't look at all the time and effort you put in, or maybe you didn't go out with your friends one night, or maybe you didn't play a game because you spent your time making a video, right? it's bullshit like that I hear that just makes my blood boil. Because it makes it seem like this was an easy road. Like it was always just so simple that, oh, it doesn't matter because Phil's just paying extra money to push Rand and all these other people to the stratosphere. No, man, I worked for this. I grinded for this, right? And I'm not one to sit here and toot my horn and say, like, I'm an amazing YouTuber, because I don't really think I am, right? I think my videos are average. I mean, Colt and Gaz have way better production values than theirs. They put so much time into that stuff. I think I have at least maybe a level-headed take on some of the things, and people like that, but I don't think I'm the be-all, end-all. I just think I was very consistent in my work ethic to put stuff out there and become, I even hate saying this, a voice for the Xbox community, because I don't even really believe in myself, but people listen to what I have to say. So the fact that you have people out there saying that's not the case, it's because Phil Spencer let you come to E3 and you were paid off to do this and you were paid off to do that and they're pushing you. It really angers me, because you don't see the hard work that people do to get where they're at. I'm a nobody. I've been a nobody. Like, I started from nothing. I didn't have a YouTube channel. And then I started making content, and here we are. So for you to sit there and trivialize all the videos I've made and the hard work that I've put in to be where I'm at and have, quote-unquote, the success that I have, simply because to say that it's because a corporation is behind me, go fuck yourself.
Man,
the reason you aren't on the...
near as... Like, seriously, like, you don't get anywhere near as much engagement from Microsoft as some of these other YouTubers do.
I don't.
Like, there was YouTubers like I saw in LA who was like, I was thinking, like, man, I have never seen this person talk about Xbox. Why are they here? That's because they're the people that they want to talk about this stuff. Like, all the people in the grassroots kind of level, like us, where we came from, like, doing this as a hobby to turn it into a career. Like, that's just pure passion. Like, you can't buy your way into this community. And we have seen people try to do it, Rand. We have seen certain people try to buy their way into this community. And that's not how it works, right? You can't fake your way into this community, because people are smart and they smell it from a mile off. They can smell the grift. They can smell when people are being fake. Because it's obvious, man. Like, none of us are Hollywood grade actors. You know, if we were Hollywood grade actors, went to the point where we could lie and fake our opinion so consistently for so long, we'd maybe be working in film and TV instead and making a lot more money. So you know, you can only get to this level by being completely real, and you know, and that's why some of these channels aren't as big, because they aren't as real. They're just grifting and they're just hating. And they're not leading with passion. They're leading with hate. And that might get clicks in the short term, but it ain't sustainable. It's not sustainable, man. I've seen I've seen those channels come and go so quick.
Yeah, people say like, "Oh, you sound pissed." Well, some of it is obviously you play it up for the live audience, right? I'm not actually pissed. Like, I'm speaking loudly as I do in my videos, but I'm just saying, like, it's sort of disrespectful to say, oh, well, they came out of nowhere and Microsoft pushed them. It's like, no, bro, I worked for this. I didn't expect to reach this level. I didn't expect to be at 100,000 subs. I didn't expect anybody to care. And for someone to say that, you know, to come out there and say that stuff, it's not something I agree with. And it's like, look, I'm not saying everybody can do this, but if you've been doing it longer than me, and if you're taking that position, and you still have, you know, where you're at, it's because you suck. It's because you are just... I'll just leave it at that. I moved on. I said what I wanted to say. This whole Xbox, I don't know where this stuff comes out from. I don't know, like, it's kind of like what you tweeted before, where it's like Xbox fans are constantly have to defend themselves from, like, made-up things that people have a conniption about every single week. And it's... Last week it was Xbox fans are paid because some washed up World of Warcraft former developer came out there and said there are no Xbox fans. Xbox fans are paid. And suddenly PlayStation fans run with that and being like, see, we told you. Look at all these people. Look at all these. No wonder Rand and Colt and all these guys are huge. It's because Xbox is paid. I've never been paid a single dime by Xbox, right? This never happened and never will happen, right? Now, I've gotten review codes for games. I've gotten a console from the review. I've even been sent a couple controllers, but money exchanging hands, never. And I wouldn't even accept it, even if it did happen, right? Microsoft. Well, in my experience, Microsoft doesn't do that. So when I see people accuse Colt of being paid or any of this stuff, I just have to laugh because I know Colt. We talk all the time, and it's just like, you guys clearly have no. You want it to be true because then it would maybe you'd understand. You want it to be true because then it would be like, oh, so that's why he's the position that he's at. It makes sense. That's the reason why I'm in this crappy position I'm in, is because PlayStation doesn't have my back. Xbox has these other guys' back, right? And it sort of falls in line.
Even if that's true, it's like, why be mad at Xbox? Why not be mad at PlayStation for doing fuck all for the community? PlayStation does nothing for their community. They do nothing. They've got that, what is it called now? The Playmakers thing, where they engage celebrities who don't even care about PlayStation that much. You know, it's so cringe. They do nothing with the grassroots level. They don't do anything with the PlayStation community like Xbox does. Why don't the PlayStation community call that out? I would be. And it's one thing I've always said. It's why I'm glad I don't cover PlayStation, because it's really boring to cover them because they don't talk to anyone. They don't talk to the community. They never say anything. They don't do the interviews. They only do interviews with Bloomberg, which is sort of like really sort of, with lots of approved stuff. We don't get anything like the kind of funny Xcast interview with Phil, which was raw as hell. So raw that interview was. Or Podcast Unlocked. Phil's been on there before and been raw as hell. You know, we never see anything like that from PlayStation execs. And, you know, that's who they should be mad at, but it's true. A lot of it is jealousy, you know.
No, it's always pure jealousy. It's usually what it comes down to is jealousy. And then they went after my boy Cog, and I didn't like that, right? No, because Cog was taking pictures with Sarah Bond and all. It's like, really, is this really a thing? Like, come on.
She's a nice person. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like,
Cog has, like if you want to talk about integrity, like, that's Cog's middle name. And the fact that his name was slandered even though the person apologized and stuff, and the fact that he was even a topic of discussion at all is absurd to me. And it's just, I don't know. If it was PlayStation, this is the thing. If it was PlayStation, this wouldn't even be brought up. But for whatever reason, this all became a huge talking point. Xbox influencers are paid. They're pushed behind the scenes. That's why they have so many subs and so many views. Oh, look at all this. They're getting pictures with Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. That really, degrades their integrity. It's like, who else? I mean, have you not listened to our how many? There was a point in time where I would get messages about how hard we were being on Microsoft, how hard we were being on Xbox at times, how hard we would be on Phil. People were like, I don't know if I can listen to you guys. You're being negative towards Xbox. And it was like, hey, they're doing stuff that's wrong. They're doing stuff that we don't particularly like. I'm going to voice my opinion. I've seen Cogs do that. I've seen Dealer do that. I've seen Paris do that. I've seen
basically got blacklisted for a year for talking about Crackdown 3.
Yeah, I got 3? Yeah, when I said what I said about Crackdown 3, people wouldn't talk to me at Xbox for a long time for that. It's like, I put it, I said what I said about Redfall, and it's like, I'm not.
That's the job.
Yeah, I don't like. You see what happens and you say stuff about it. I will never, like, if something bad happens, I will never be like, oh, this is actually good. That's not been me ever, and it never will be, right? So to say that, like, oh, your integrity is compromised because you are in party chats with Phil, or you were invited to E3, or this, that, or the other, it's just like, do you even listen to the show? You even read some of Jez's articles? do you even like watch some of the stuff? Like, sure, yeah, I'll make videos being positive of Xbox because there's things that are really positive about Xbox is doing. And then like, the future of Xbox has never been brighter. I mean, there were periods of time where I was like, even back in 2016, 2017, we're doing this podcast. It's like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen in the future. It seemed like it was all going to come to an end. And then things started to change. It's like, okay, it's just going to take some time. And it's taken some time. And yeah, you know what? 2022 was unacceptable, right? We've been through that. How Redfall launched, completely unacceptable for a game from a first party, regardless of whether or not it was Microsoft had no, like, you can't launch a game like that. That game probably should have been canceled, or at worst been like put in, worked on for another 2 more years or something, right? So, I don't know. I just, the Xbox Illuminati shit is just, it's disrespectful, it's funny, but it's sad. And I just needed to say my piece about it. You know? Don't worry about me. You know, if you got my name in your mouth, right? And you're talking about me on your podcast, hey man, I hope that works out for you. Great content. You're talking about me. I never thought I would, be in the situation where you can make content about me and get views off of it, but it just shows me the type of person you are when you're more worried about why I'm in the position I'm in and not why you and why you aren't. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about what I'm doing. I don't worry about you. The only reason you even came up was because people sent me your shit. And there you are talking about me, my name in your mouth. Worry about yourself. Nobody cares about you, and I'm bigger than you, and I'm better than you. It's because you suck. End of story. Now back to the ABK stuff. Sorry. Let's get back to this stuff.
Let's get back to it.
Zammy says Jez should slip in the German words when talking to DW. Okay. Mark Hott says Microsoft wins and ABK equals hashtag Scalebound next. Always Scalebound comes up. Always and forever. It always does. Zammy says CMA's best shot brilliant. Adopting EU stipulations. We don't know what's going to happen there, but something's going to happen. James says, love the surprise podcast. Massive W today. Jez, I hope your ass is ready. Rand, hope you're feeling better. I'm feeling much better. And yeah, Jez, you don't have to be worried about after you drink that stuff. Ralph Wiggum, this is for you, Jez, to buy a Pepto-Bismol. Good luck with the spicy sauce. Adigator says it's got to be a ghost pepper hot sauce. I think so too. Jez would die though. Thanos, for about an hour, Windows Central was the first article report to win. Inside info? Is that true? Was it the first?
Nah. So basically what I did was I wrote 2 articles. Well, I wrote one article with 2 blocks in it. And one of them was like, this is the block if the deal's approved, and this is the block if the deal's blocked. And then I put Foss Patents on notification because I knew he'd be there first. And then as soon as Foss Patton tweeted, I deleted the block and then published the article. So it was live within like a minute. And then I just made a couple of tweaks after it was live to add the quotes in. So yeah, we were quick because I had that shit pre-written, baby. Oh man, I wrote that last week. That's how long I've been waiting for it. But yeah.
I remember when you told me you wrote it, you had it all like written up. And it was just a matter of which one do I publish, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which is actually smart,
Super smart.
Because it's like it could come down at any point in time, right?
Yeah. So I was pretty much spamming it in chat, like, if there's an editor online at 2 a.m. for me, make sure this gets published, But yeah, we got there first because I'm a no life, and I just sit there watching tweets all day. That's how it works around here.
Crobo says, any truth to the reason no Xbox 2 last night? Because Rand flew to Cali and wine dined in 69 Judge Corley to persuade her.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Is that true, Rand?
That is
true.
That is not true. That is not true.
It's not true.
That is not true. I mean,
I was saying to Rand before the show, guys. I was saying like someone at the weekend bought 1 million shares in Activision Blizzard, and I'm thinking like that's Rand. Rand is secretly a billionaire, and none of us know about it.
I mean, could you imagine betting? Because it wasn't just that; it was even more. Whoever made that those bets or those calls on Friday in the stock market made a lot of money.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
we got Nation says spicy Rand with a bunch of flame emojis. We got Puckish Rogue. When do we get Heroes of the Storm on Xbox with Doom, Slayer, and Arbiter? Hopefully things actually change and liberate the studios from making COD. Yeah, we don't know what they're going to do with Call of Duty. I would like to believe that they would go to a format of was like, hey, we can't putting out a Call of Duty every single year is not sustainable, right? And that if we go to every other year, that could essentially free up those studios to maybe make other content. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. As for Heroes of the Storm, Jez, what do you think?
I mean, as much as I want to believe that Heroes of the Storm has a chance for revival, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. The team that made the game doesn't even exist anymore. They'd have to find a new dev. I don't know what the game's doing, like, engagement-wise. I mean, they're still updating it, and there's still people active on the subreddit, and the YouTubers play it, and Twitch streamers play it even, but I don't know, man. I think it's probably the install base is probably too low to be considered, and I want to believe that there's a future where Heroes of the Storm could get characters from, like, Microsoft IP, like Ram from Gears, or Master Chief, or the Arbiter, or God knows who else. I think that's a huge opportunity, but I don't think Microsoft would agree with me. So, yeah, I think deep down, I think we all know that game's not coming back.
Yeah, probably not. We have Super Shrooms saying today was a good day. Boys, can you smell it? The Sony tears inhale those glorious fumes of victory. Prototype 3, God. World of Warcraft Console Edition, and exclusive AAA Open World Crash Bandicoot. Let's go. Got some big dreams there. Got some real big dreams. World of Warcraft Console Edition. Give me a prediction right now, Jez. Does World of Warcraft come to Xbox? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no. There's no maybe. I don't know. It's yes or it's a no.
World of Warcraft, I don't think will come to Xbox, but I think the Warcraft franchise will come to Xbox eventually.
What does that mean?
World of Warcraft 2, maybe.
Okay.
I don't. This current version is just not going to work on this. The current version of WoW is just not going to work on console, but a future version could, if they were going to do one, maybe. Possibly.
Maybe. Gunstar 75. Sources confirmed that Aaron Greenberg took the judge out for lunch. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Because Aaron Greenberg had taken a picture with, like, Risk It for the Biscuit and Hargeet and Colt and Addict and Cognito, and, like, it was like, oh, Aaron paid for their lunch. It's like, no, they didn't. Like, they were done with their lunch and they saw Aaron, and then Colt flagged Aaron down to come talk to them for a couple minutes. Like, there's this weird videos about like inspecting the photo and being like, if you look at the photos the way I look at these photos, like,
yeah, dude, like,
bro, like, there's nothing there. What are you talking about?
The lot of people who go to E3 events, they stay at the hotel, the JW Marriott, because it's right in the middle and it's right next to the LA Convention Center. So everybody stayed at the Marriott, and then in the evening there was Xbox people and Xbox fans in the same place. What are you gonna do? Ignore them? People are human beings. It's like imagine that I'm sitting there and, like, someone like Aaron Greenberg comes up to say hello or something, or Josh Stein or someone like that. Am I going to say, oh no, I can't be seen with you because someone might take a photograph and they might send it to a PlayStation podcast and then they might be mean to me on Twitter? Fuck no. My content speaks for itself. I don't give a crap about this kind of stuff. And I'd rather be nice and treat people like a human being than sort of worry about this arbitrary bullshit made up rules which don't even exist.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. Like, I went to E3 in 2016. I took photos with, Phil and Yabara. I mean, it was my pinned photo for a long time because I was really proud of that moment, right? And it was like, well, you can't be impartial because you're, taking... Like, excuse me?
Dude,
they can't be impartial?
Actually,
what?
I got beans. You
got beans?
E3. Nobody called me out for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, people. I mean, there's definitely people on websites and forum that don't think you're impartial. Hell, there are people out there that think Tom Warren is Microsoft PR, right? It's just a bunch of clowns living in denial who like it's.
Tom's a PC gamer. I don't think he even turns his Xbox on.
Yeah,
he only plays on PC. Tom doesn't give a crap about Xbox, man. Well, he just covers Xbox because that's his beat. He's the Microsoft beat. It's my beat too. It's the beat, man. I don't know. People are just so irritating with this stuff. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's move on.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the salt though. I'm enjoying them breaking down like the world's over. Because now it's like, how could the FTC allow this? Oh my God, the consolation. Oh, in 5 years, Xbox will own every third party in existence, and gaming will never be the same. Like, that's the little crocodile tears I see, and it's mostly just from PlayStation fans of just being like, please appeal. You have to appeal. FTC, please. And then when the CMA bent in, they're like, no, you were the chosen one. What are you doing? Please stop this. Right? Like, people are losing their minds, over all this. It's awesome. It's a type of content and type of stuff that gives me life. Right, I just read this stuff and I just have to laugh, right?
And they're all multi-plats as well. So it's just
at the end of the day,
doubly funny.
At the end of the day, it's like, it is the Activision stuff is currently all multi-plats, so it's like Xbox fans are excited to play multi-plats, which is kind of funny, right? Because Call of Duty ain't going anywhere. But I guess I'll ask you this question: You're going to BlizzCon in November, right?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Well, maybe you are.
Save that money.
Gotta
save that money.
True. If we assume the deal's done by next week or even before November, and Blizzard is part of Xbox, we do know they have a game that they announced that they haven't titled yet and they haven't announced for any platforms. It's the Odyssey game, right? The survival game. And you see, your predictions are usually bad, right? Because you predicted this deal would die. And it went through. You predicted that Indiana Jones was going to be multi-platform, and that's actually exclusive. So sometimes your predictions aren't the best, but I'll ask it anyways. That Odyssey game from Blizzard, when Microsoft owns them, is that game going to be multi-platform, or will it be exclusive?
It'll be multi-platform.
Is this a prediction, or do you know?
It's a prediction based on the fact that it's pretty far along in development, I think. So, yeah, I would firmly believe that game's going to be multi-platform, and I think like Phil's even himself said that they want to keep Activision games mostly multi-platform, and I think Blizzard games have a lot of overlap. The community and the fan base there's a lot of overlap. So people who play Diablo or play Diablo on PlayStation, chances are or play Diablo and Overwatch, maybe they'll play this as well. So I don't think Microsoft will want to cut them off. So I do think it'll be multi-platform. So yeah, but I'm not betting anymore. I'm not betting anymore.
You're not betting anymore on all that stuff, yeah.
No.
So we got Daswell saying, before we jump into Microsoft's epic victory, Jez, now we're both sober. Project Stardust, spill the beans. Best podcast on the net. Yeah. So what? So you did. Someone did say a code name, and you did say Stardust. This is when you were drunk the other night.
Oh God.
So what is Project Stardust?
We don't talk about this.
We can't talk about Project Stardust.
I shouldn't have said anything. Put it that way.
Let me ask you this: Is Project Stardust an actual thing?
It's a thing.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a game.
Oh. Project Stardust.
I think it might be hardware or software related.
Oh,
so.
Project Stardust. I don't know. Stardust sounds like a mid-gen refresh to me. Like, hey, Stardust? Yeah. Although, haven't all their code names for... Well, I was going to say, haven't all their code names for consoles been, like, places-orientated? But Scarlet wasn't, and neither were, like, Anaconda and Lockhart, so...
Actually, Anaconda and Lockhart were places, I think.
Really? Is there an actual Anaconda town somewhere?
Yeah, probably. There's a Stardust town as well, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know. Stardust, United States. I bet there's a place called Stardust.
And just find out if anybody from Microsoft
I don't
used to
know.
live at Stardust. Stardust.
Stardust Materials LLC in New York. Nah, I don't know. Maybe not. But Microsoft uses all kinds of code names. They're not always places. But we'll see.
Okay. We got Hugh saying, what type of studios do you think Xbox need post ABK as in first party? I think they need more like Ninja Theory, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, Asobo, IOI, etc. Yeah, so this is the next big thing here, right? Is what's next? Because even in the lead up of all this stuff, Microsoft said they weren't done. We know they had like a list of studios and publishers they were looking at. Now that the ABK thing looks like it might be over, it's like, where do you go from here? I know Embracer's been having some troubles. Do you go to Embracer and be like, hey, we'll take Crystal Dynamics and Eidos from you because they're working in our games and we would like to, there's some great studios. We would like to have them for the future. Do you go to a company like Certain Affinity, who's making Tatanka and is also making a Monster Hunter game for Xbox that you reported on? Do you be like, we need them? IO Interactive, that was on Xbox's list.
Yes.
They're making a Project Dragon, Project Fantasy. Does that have something there? We know that Microsoft really wanted Sega. They even tried getting approval for Sega, right? And Sega does make a lot of sense for the type of goals Microsoft is trying to move towards. Does Sega still make sense post ABK? And how soon could they move on it? Because I think ABK is going to be tough to integrate. I think I don't know how tough or easy Bethesda's been, but they're not even really fully integrated, and who knows if they ever will. ABK is on a whole different. Isn't like all of ABK actually bigger than all of Xbox? Essentially, like the amount of employees.
ABK is massive. We're talking like tens of thousands of employees. Like they've got a huge customer service operation as well. Which is something I have a lot of concern about, actually. And it's a shame because no one's really talked about this very much. They always talk about the competition. But honestly, one of my biggest concerns is Microsoft doesn't really care about customer support that much. And I'm worried that it's going to lead to layoffs in customer support. And it's something that I've been trying to, advocate about. And, regulators don't care about that stuff. They don't care about the little people. But, I don't know, in essence. But I guess we need to get this deal over the last hurdles because it's not completely done yet.
Sure.
Before we start talking about like who's next, Sega, whatever. Because if you do read Judge Corley's explanation for a decision, she agreed with the FTC on a bunch of stuff, man. She agreed with their market definition that Nintendo is separate. She disagreed with Microsoft that Xbox Game Pass isn't a factor or something. So like there was a fair amount of doubt in there. She believed that Microsoft would keep the games multi-platform and that it wouldn't impact Sony. So she didn't believe the foreclosure arguments. But and I think when Phil said under oath that he'd continue to bring Call of Duty as long as PlayStation allowed it, I think that probably had a big impact on her psychology about the deal, But is Phil going to be able to say that about every acquisition he makes? Like, if he makes an acquisition, if they're going to acquire Sega or say even Crystal Dynamics, is he going to be able to sit there and say we won't make Tomb Raider exclusive? Because that's the kind of game that you probably would want to be exclusive, no microtransactions. Why give Sony 30%?
Well, it wasn't that the judge felt the Switch. Basically, the court felt that the Switch was part of the market, but the FTC had met its burdens based on internal documents to show that the Switch wasn't in the high console market. So she basically she thought it was part of the overall market, but she said the FTC had met their burden, so it was not included. The FTC in court agreed that the PCs were not in the relevant market. Judge didn't seem convinced by Microsoft's argument that multi-game subs and cloud weren't their own markets, but didn't rule on that. Judge was with the FTC and saying U.S. was relevant market. Judge saw that no proof Microsoft would pull Call of Duty. Despite extensive discovery, including nearly 1 million documents and 30 depositions, the FTC has not identified a single document which contradicts Microsoft's publicly stated commitment to make Call of Duty available on PlayStation, right? Because that was the thing that was trying to get through. And I mean, even here in like one of the things it says, next, the FTC insists Microsoft offer is simply insufficient. In so arguing, it relies exclusively on PlayStation CEO lying, crying, flying, hiding, Jim dance move, saving Private Ryan's testimony. Thank God I got to say at least. New? I'm just reading from her document.
Oh, okay.
The FTC's heavy reliance on Mr. Ryan's testimony is unpersuasive. Sony opposes the merger. Its opposition is understandable, and I think me and you have always said that. We're like, we don't begrudge Sony for opposing the merger. We just were making fun of their arguments because their arguments doesn't hold any water, and all the regulators basically agreed with them, and even this judge. Before the merger, Sony paid Activision for exclusive marketing rights that allowed Sony to market Call of Duty on PlayStation, but restricted Xbox's ability to do the same. After the merger, the combined firm presumably will not agree to such restrictions. Before the merger, a consumer wanting to play a Call of Duty console game had to buy a PlayStation or an Xbox. After the merger, consumers can utilize the cloud to play on the device of choice, including, it is intended, on the Nintendo Switch. Perhaps bad for Sony, but good for Call of Duty gamers and future gamers. You know, it's like the judge said during like closing arguments when it was like, okay, where's the harm? And it was like, well, Sony. And then the judge was like, I don't care about Sony. I care about consumers, right?
Did they actually have a response to that? I can't even remember if they managed to have a response.
Not really, right?
No.
No. So there's some of that stuff. Let's see what other super chats we got here. I mean, yeah, as far as like the studios, like I mentioned, I don't know if you go after any of them right away. Right? This is gonna be a huge monumental undertaking to bring ABK under the fold and get them all set up and get everything running smoothly. Right? I could see a lot of Activision upper management leaving, quite frankly. They're about to get a huge payout, and they may want to go do something else. Yeah. And it's like that might be a problem. And do you really want to go right after another publisher right away? I mean, I understand if you went after another publisher like Sega and you kept them multi-platform, it's like, okay, you don't really need to, okay, you can run them how you feel, but they're going to have their hands full, right? But I do think there are some individual studios that you need to go after. Certain Affinity, IO Interactive if you can, Crystal and Eidos and stuff. There are smaller ones that make sense that maybe wouldn't cause a huge regulation
ruckus.
Yeah, ruckus about like we can't allow you, right? And I do feel though that since the ABK deal's gone through or will go through, that it really shouldn't be that big of a deal to get something like Sega to go through, because I don't see how Sony can really come out and say, well, we can't live without Sonic. We can't live without Persona. We can't, like, none of the other games on any other platforms really have that sort of pull. Maybe you could, if somebody bought Take-Two, you could maybe make an argument around Grand Theft Auto. Maybe if you bought EA, I don't know, could you make an argument about Madden and FIFA and stuff? But like something like Sega, it's like they don't have that. Like Sony's can't come out there and be like, our business would basically be dead if we lost this game, right?
Yeah.
So, if you could get through ABK, you could probably get through a publisher the size of Sega or a publisher the size of Capcom. I doubt because I doubt somebody mentioned to me that was like, oh, they'll just acquire all the third-party publishers in the next 10 years. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I don't think they even really want that, but yeah, smaller studios, whether it's Certain Affinity or Asobo, I saw the rumors that Plague's Tale 3 is in development, which is music to my ears because I love that franchise. So it's like, yeah, there's some definite, like how Sony themselves have been making acquisitions recently, and it's smaller studios. I think Xbox needs to go back to that. and maybe pursue Sega in a couple years after they are kind of finished with everything ABK has, because you really need to make sure. I mean, ABK is kind of like golden goose now, right? You add like the 15, 16 billion that Xbox makes a year. Now you're adding the 8 billion or 9 billion that Activision makes. You got your inroads to mobile finally. You have Blizzard, who's going to really push the PC stuff and Game Pass on PC and Call of Duty. You get that big mover on Game Pass that maybe takes Game Pass to the next level. I will say though, Jez, if we get an announcement here next week about them closing the deal, I bet you we get an update on what the Game Pass number is.
Do you think?
Uh-huh. The last time we got an update about the Game Pass number was when they acquired ABK, January 18th, 2022. Before that, it was when they closed on Bethesda. So anytime they acquired a company, they gave Game Pass numbers. And they haven't given Game Pass numbers since the acquisition. So I feel like if once they close on that, I think they'll give the numbers. It'll be part of their PR.
How do you notice all these patterns, man? I just would never have noticed. I would never have made that connection.
Well, because I know people want to know what the numbers are at, right? We've seen Sony say the number, whatever the numbers might be, around 30 million and stuff. And I just know, because I've made videos and we've talked about it, the times Microsoft has publicly given numbers is when they've acquired companies. It was like 18 million when they acquired Bethesda, and then 25 million when they acquired Activision Blizzard. It's the last two times that, to my knowledge, that they've actually given numbers for it. So to me, closing ABK would be a huge, huge, huge thing. That would also be maybe a time that they would give a number of what Game Pass is at that point.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. We'll see, man. We'll see, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to Highlander for becoming the newest member of the channel. Appreciate you. Let's see what else we got here. We have let's see what else. I gotta scroll down here because we've got to get through everybody. DB Cooper says, nah, drinking hot sauce will make him sick. Do the one chip challenge. Have you thought about that? The one chip challenge?
What's that?
That's that chip that's like super hot. It's like a one big huge chip, and it's like you got to eat it instead of drinking all that hot sauce. You should go on Google and just like type it in, the one chip challenge. It's like it's specifically made for stuff like this.
One chip challenge, Amazon UK. One chip challenge. Oh yeah, it's available in the UK. Oh, we could do that
instead of drinking the whole
Red Hot Reaper 2-pack. One chip challenge, hottest chip in the UK. Carolina Reaper spicy challenge. Stupid. Okay, shall I buy that?
I mean, that's up to you. I would never do it, but I don't like spicy stuff. So
inside the box, extremely hot tortilla chip. Yeah, I'll do it. We'll do it this way. That's a good. Who suggested that? That's a good suggestion.
That was DB Cooper in the super chat. So
okay, that one, yeah, because that is the challenge, right? Red Hot Reaper, the hottest chip in the UK. Is that a British thing or is that a global thing right now?
I don't know.
It is. It was Red Hot was founded in 2021 in the UK. We entered the market with the one chip challenge. The only challenge to make tortilla chips with the hottest peppers in the world. Okay, I bought it.
He bought it. It's on. When's it gonna be there?
Oh my, that's so funny. It's like one chip in one bag.
Yeah.
That is so funny. This review, 5 stars. Hot ass chip. Had a good laugh. Did the job of being a spicy chip. Okay, we'll do it.
All right. That's gonna be fun. When's it gonna be there?
Jez, don't. I had buddies puke and shit for 2 days due to that. It says nearly crazy. Screw it, man. We're doing it. We're doing it. The hottest chip. We're doing it. Screw it. I've ordered it. It'll be here in a couple of days.
All right. That's gonna be super. All right. I would never do it, but then again, I didn't make a bad bet, so.
Yeah. We'll do it.
Love and Life says he's got to do the Hot Ones challenge. We will hopefully, I don't know if it'll be this Friday. Maybe we'll just save it for the day the deal closes and Jez can just do it on camera or whatever. Defside says, big shout out to King David. ILP is going to be lit. ILP is going to, bro, I think I might have to stop by ILP on Sunday. Are you going to have to stop by ILP on Sunday? It's going to be massive.
Yeah, screw it, man. I'll stop by ILP if they'll have me.
Cognito, you're going to have like a 7-hour show. We're going to be there, bro.
Screw it, baby.
Xbox 2 is going to come through, right?
Yeah,
we're coming through. And then it come through the next week when they close the deal as well. Shout out to JP for the super chat. No message. We have one here from, let's see. Let me get through. We have one here from Rich from the 401. My guys, Jez and Rand, the men with the million Manscapes. I don't care much for ABK, but I need a prototype reboot out of this. Fills the need for an exclusive superhero game. Give me next-gen Spyro 2. I think I even saw something where there is a Spyro game in development.
Yeah, there is a rumor about Spyro right now.
I would imagine that would be exclusive because it's Spyro. Who cares? I think even I heard like Phil, like one of the first things Phil talked about was like a Tony Hawk and like remember like was a Guitar Hero, right?
Guitar Hero, he name checked Guitar Hero, StarCraft, Skylanders.
Well, you think
Skylanders would be awesome.
You think StarCraft's coming back regardless, right? StarCraft's going to come back. I've heard tentative rumors that some kind of StarCraft game is already in development. Good. And then I think they'll make another Tony Hawk, and that'll be exclusive. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Warclip.
There will be some exclusives out of this, but it'll be them smaller kind of games probably. I personally don't think any Blizzard game will be. But I could be wrong. Let's wait and see.
Warclip says make him do the hot chip challenge. Also, another person said the hot chip challenge, or at least
we're doing it. We're doing the hot chip challenge.
Dan Webb, really excited that the deal's finally done. Do you guys think we'll get a sit-down event like Bethesda to map out the future? Love the show. We sort of talked about that earlier. I don't think so. I don't know why I don't think we would get one, but I don't think we will because I don't think they want Bobby Kotick on camera. I think they want him just gone. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm not sure we'll get a sit. You know, they haven't even revealed this year's Call of Duty, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. I'm sure the deal is because of that, but we already pretty much know a lot about it. That it's Modern Warfare
3. It's made by Sledgehammer Games. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same engine. There's going to be a zombies mode and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but yeah. God, what a weird. The industry's completely changed, man.
I remember when you told me like 6 hours beforehand they bought Bethesda, and I was like, "Damn, this is gonna change stuff." And like now it's like, all right, well, this is massive, right? And it certainly puts. Like, just thinking about where Xbox was, I'm just thinking about Xbox One reveal and the Xbox One console and Don Matrick leaving and Phil taking over and the budgets being slashed and them losing the marketing rights to COD. And it sort of seemed like Xbox was on this, like, downward spiral that ended in being sold off, or, like, Microsoft shuttering the company because they didn't care. Because investors were like, we don't want Xbox, get rid of them. And we always joked around it. If there ever came a day where Microsoft announced they were shuttering the Xbox division, that Microsoft's stock price would shoot up, right? Because it's not important to the company. And somehow, through all this, Phil Spencer was able to not only convince Satya to put him on the executive team, not only convince Satya to make gaming a pillar of the company, but then convince Satya somehow, some way, to basically spend $80 billion on gaming. I mean, when you think about where Xbox was and where they are now and the positions that the company was in to, like, where they are today, how did Phil pull that off? I mean, you know, like, because gaming was an afterthought at Microsoft. Nobody cared. And then suddenly it's a pillar of the company, and you got $80 billion to spend on acquisitions? Like, the 180 on that is staggering, right?
Yeah. It's Satya, man. It's Satya, it's cloud, it's identifying the size of the market and the opportunity to meet Microsoft's corporate mission, which is empower others to do more. And they see this as an opportunity to really push their tools and their cloud and all that kind of stuff, which we've been saying for years, Rand, that the real competitors in their view is Google, Amazon, you know, they're cloud competitors at the end of the day. And gaming is a pillar of that. You know, Rand, I've heard some rumors that after this,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon's gearing up to make a big move on a big publisher.
I mean, there was talks
So
that they almost bought EA, right?
yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because I don't think they're done with all that kind of stuff, man.
I mean,
We'll see.
10 cents out there getting 20 to 40% of every gaming company. You're right. The Saudi Arabia, they're out there investing in everything, right? So there's a lot going on. Reverend Gunn says Call of Duty World of War is now on PlayStation Plus. It is. Tom Legg says, do you think they'll end up adding more games to the backwards compatible program after the deal closes, or does that program stay dead? I think they actually do have more back compat games once the deal closes, or I don't know if it'll be like the day the deal closes, or whether they announce it a week later or something, or whether there is a roundtable event. But I think they'll add more back compat games. Yes, this will be like the very last sort of things. Tropa says, the normal console war nonsense aside, the amount of vitriol and disrespect being shown to the judge today by the Sony fanboys is way over the line. Okay.
Yeah,
Jez,
they've been.
This is time.
This
is time for you to get a little spicy.
Oh, why is that?
Because Tropa brought this up, and you had put a tweet out to that Matthew Stoller guy on Twitter.
Yes. So there's this chap on Twitter called Matthew Stoller. I'm not familiar with him. I was just being a dick. He's probably a fine and dandy gentleman, but he had a very, very spicy take, which seemed, shall we say, aggressive, where he opened by calling the judge
a boomer,
a moron boomer, which I thought was like aggressively unfair because she's clearly shown a higher level of awareness and knowledge and good faith interest in the gaming business, unlike the CMA people who came out there initially assuming that Xbox was bigger than PlayStation in the early days, which was hilarious. So I think that was very bad faith by this Matt guy. But it's not just him. It's like loads of people are sort of decrying this. Like certain forums are in total and complete freefall meltdown over this, and stuff. So I ratioed the guy. I don't know who he is. I just ratioed him. I was like, "Did you tweet this for a cascade of tears?" And I just fancy ratioing him. But then there's other people ratioing him as well because in his big tweet thread, he threw out a bunch of errors. So. I think there's a lot of people who are just simply ideologically opposed to the idea of a deal on this scale, even if it's a good thing, even if it's a net positive, even if it means Call of Duty on Nintendo Switch, even if it means investment in a new market like cloud gaming, even if it means unlocking ABK to reduce Call of Duty frequency so the devs get a better work-life balance. Even if all that stuff's true, and I'm not confirming that it is, that's our assumption right now. But they won't even consider that stuff because ideologically they are just completely opposed to the very concept of a $69 billion deal, which I ain't here to say whether it's good or bad. We live in a society, capitalism bad, late stage capitalism, all that kind of crap. This what some of this argument boils down to. And the problem is when you are ideological, some of the pragmatism, some of the hard rationality just gets thrown out the window, and you're seeing this in droves from people who are supposed to be serious business analysts right now, calling the federal judge a moron boomer, which, I thought, like, I was fully prepared to consider her a moron boomer, to be fair. And that's one of my reasonings behind my pessimism, is because I do just have this generalized sense that people who've made their way and climbed up the ladder to be in these positions of power, they're out of touch with technology a lot of the time. We see this from Senate hearings all the time. There's that famous exchange between I think it was it Zuckerberg and a senator, where the senator was like, no, it was Google. It was between Google and the senator was like, how dare you track me on my iPhone? And the guy had to explain, look, Google, we don't make iPhone. Apple make iPhone or something like that. It was just one of them sort of like blistering sort of ignorance, but she showed willing to learn the market, or do her research or whatever. And she showed a pretty competent understanding of it from what I saw. But you're seeing this sort of impassioned takes from people who are completely ideological. Lena Khan, clearly ideological, man.
Yeah,
it's all ideological, but thankfully, apparently the system works. I just wish it worked in the UK, because it took this happening to make the UK come back to the negotiation table. The UK were more on boomers, and they were so settled on their opinion that this market with like three people in it, that's a bad faith. Or it's either ignorance or bad faith. Either way is bad and annoying. So either they're idiot boomers or they're grifters, and they're operating on a bad faith platform because they're trying to get something out of it. They're trying to get something out of it politically, personally, or organizationally. They're trying to get something out of it. But now it's now the FTC got reamed in court. CMA doesn't want any of that, Rand. They don't want that anymore. They saw what happened to the FTC and they thought, fuck that, we're out. We are out. We'll come back to the negotiation table. Please, Microsoft.
Yeah, and you know what? CNBC's David Faber is reporting that Microsoft and the CMA have agreed on a small divestiture to address the regulators' concerns.
Already?
I mean, this is from an article that was posted at like noon. But I mean, it says, Microsoft and the CMA have agreed on a small divestiture to address the regulators' concerns. CNBC's David Faber reported. So...
yeah.
Maybe it's already done. I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of working out the things. But I mean, small divestiture, so that would have to be cloud related. Could it just be, hey, ABK games won't be in cloud in the UK, or we just won't have cloud in the UK or something? I don't know. Either way, they bent the knee. They bent the knee. But yeah, like, dude, like, because now I see the whole thing is like, oh, this ruling needs to be thrown away because her son's the judge. Her son works at Microsoft. And it's like, you guys weren't paying attention. Microsoft didn't want this judge. They wanted to litigate in D.C. The FTC wanted this judge. And she declared to everybody at the beginning of the trial that her son works at Microsoft and she didn't think it was going to impede her ability to make an impartial decision. And the FTC and Microsoft were both fine with that. And now suddenly this is this big, oh my God, conspiracy, right? And it's like, yo, like the FCC didn't care. The FCC wanted her in the first place. Microsoft's the one who didn't. Right? Like, I don't know. I think it was just that the whole thing is, it's weird because when the whole trial was going on, I'm always concerned about sitting in echo chambers and being like, okay, what do other people really think about stuff? So I'll go and I'll see what other people have to say. So to me, when I was listening to this stuff and reading, I was like, man, this isn't good for the FTC. But then I would see other people being like, oh man, Microsoft got roasted, Phil got destroyed. This is so good for, like, that Matthew Stover guy was going on and on about like how, oh my God, Microsoft got lambasted and it was, basically like shut deal for them that they were going to win. Suddenly now that they loses, now it's like, oh, she's a boomer judge. Her son works for the thing, and making up all these excuses about how suddenly Microsoft and how Microsoft has these monopolistic plans or whatever. And it's like, where are these monolithic plans? And if they had these plans, why didn't the FTC submit them to the court? And why didn't the FTC, like, I love this whole dichotomy of people who will loudly shout at the top of their lungs that Xbox sucks and Xbox has no games. And they'll do it constantly, all day, right? But in the next breath are like, they shouldn't be allowed to buy ABK because they'll be a monopoly. It's like both of those things can't be true. They can't have no games and suck, and then also, well, they can't buy it, They won't be able to buy it. Jez, you still there?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's Prime Day, right? It's Amazon Prime Day right now. So like, there's a lot of work things happening behind the scenes.
No, I was just wondering because
we don't usually.
I was just wondering because my light was flashing, and the last time it was my like the light in the overhead light, and the last time it did this, my PC like turned off for a second and then came back on. So I was kind of a little bit worried that maybe like I'm about to lose connection because the light's kind of going off and on. I do sound weird?
Oh, that's spooky. No, you sound fine. You sound fine.
Hold on a second. Talk for just a minute. I'm gonna go do something real quickly. I'll be back in like 1 minute.
Oh, okay. Dudes, let's get me some questions while Rand's just AFK. I'm gonna look at some of these super chats while I'm here. Leaky Hum says percentage of an Arcanum remaster. Jez, Avowed updates. Don't have any updates on Avowed. I kind of feel like maybe some of the commentary about the visuals might have taken them aback a little bit. So I think we could see like, and next time we see it, it'll probably be a little bit better graphically. I think they'll probably put some emphasis on lighting and stuff like that. Arcanum, however, that's an interesting one. I've never played the original Arcanum, but I know it's sort of like a legendary kind of RPG. The developer who led the development of Arcanum is working on Clockwork Revolution now. So Arcanum remaster, I don't know, maybe. I suppose like the developer who worked on it is now in exile or created it. I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know he was in exile. And so maybe it's something that could happen. It depends on who owns the IP, right? And stuff like that.
I'm back.
Oh, we got Rand.
I turned off some power because I don't want the stream. I don't want my PC to turn. It is hot. The air conditioning is on. I didn't want like all of a sudden like my PC to turn off because then this would obviously
your
be over.
breakers get tripped or something.
Yeah.
All I did was Leaky Hum super chat about Arcanum remaster. So if you want to grab the other ones,
yeah. Okay. Let me bring that up. We have Hush saying, Rand, tell us how you truly feel. Keep up the good work. Quaytang Clan says, Xbox 2 is my favorite Xbox podcast. Jay Rembert, Dark Rand is the best Rand. Go off, my guy. I mean, you know, I say what I had to say, you know. We have Caldweb saying, we are witnessing the rise of Darth Rand. I mean, Darth Rand's always here. I just keep him locked up. But for sometimes, you know, I got to bring him out here and there, right? So today was one of those things. Juan says, Rand has been exquisite today. Have a nice Tuesday, friends. Cliff says, Rand was grinding back when the news was dashboard updates only. I was there. Yeah, I know. I used to get made fun of about like making dashboard update videos. Although, to be fair, I probably still would make those, but they don't really make dashboard updates anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the dashboard's really boring these days.
Yeah. I mean, it looks better and stuff, but they don't really... I mean, back then, they were constantly changing it. How it looks, how it functions. It was always, like, different. So, you know, you can make videos about it now. It's just everything's sort of the same. Meat Puppet, Rand, ignore the haters and keep up the hard work. You both do good. Oh my god, Turtle73. Shout out to everyone in the Xbox 2 Discord. Started posting there last week and haven't had this much fun in the community in a long time. Come join us. Indeed, the Discord is there for you guys to join if you want. I'm sure Jez will post it in the chat. Enigmatic Dreams, watching you since Xbox Nation days. Keep it up. Yeah, that's back in like 2015. I've been doing this for a while, but apparently I just came out of nowhere, even though I've been around for a long time. Briggs Country.
Dude.
You know what's...
Dude.
What?
I'm scared of this hot chip, man.
You're scared now of it?
People are DMing me saying, "Don't do it. You won't be able to breathe."
Well, I mean,
I got to do it though, bro.
I mean, do you want it? I mean, you can do.
No, I'm doing it, bro. I ordered it now. It's coming.
I mean, I don't want you to die. What am I gonna do if you die? We got Xbox 2 to do.
Surely they couldn't sell something that'll kill you on Amazon. I support you on Amazon, for God's sake. Oh man,
you need to make a poll or something on Twitter. I don't know. I mean,
some people are like, "Oh, this is not even hot," but other people are like, "Oh my god, you're gonna die." Oh man,
Kid Smooth did that. You want to watch the video of Kid Smooth eating that thing?
Maybe. I don't know. We're doing it. We're locked in.
All right, we're locked.
I gotta do it.
We're locked in apparently. So Jez might die. I don't know.
They'll be worth it. They'll be worth it for ABK.
Kendrick Starr. Talk that shit, Rand. Talk that shit. Okay, yeah. Briggs Country. Spicy Rand slinging the heat and truth. Most of you guys have earned everything you have, and I appreciate everything you guys bring to the Xbox community. Cheers to you both. Thank you. Lee T. Sanders. I and 95,000 know the truth, real truth, and love you, Rand. Ignore those wank stains. Also, Banjo will have its day. No follow my butt. Hashtag Banjo-Retooey, but there was a recent report from VGC interviewing some of those Rare developers who feel that that Banjo's never coming back, or at least feel that there's no market for Banjo to come back to.
Yeah, I did see that. I what do you think about that? I tend to agree.
So here's the thing. I wholeheartedly, this might be harsh to hear. And maybe someone like Paris and maybe someone like Mr. Boom or some of the real hardcore Banjo bros aren't going to like this. As much as I would love for Banjo to come back, for my Banjo bros, there's really only like 15 of you out there. There's not a lot. There really isn't an audience for Banjo in 2023, the year of our Lord, let alone in the year 2025, year of our Lord, right? Banjo is one of those things where people look back really fondly on nostalgia of when they kind of grew up with gaming and would love to see it return. And they're like, hey, Microsoft needs family games. But when does a platformer necessarily mean friendly? Or a platformer mean family friendly? Like, kids play Fortnite these days. Just because you make Banjo doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be good family content, right? So while I'm rooting for my Banjo bros to get their Banjo game, I'm also here to tell you that I agree with the Rare devs. There absolutely is no market for Banjo on Xbox in the year 2023. However, if you could somehow convince Nintendo to make a Banjo game and then launch it on Nintendo Switch 2 or Switch as well as Xbox, I think Banjo stands a chance. And this is going to sound a lot of Xbox fans might take issue with this, but I think if they release Banjo strictly for Xbox, I think that game dies a sad death.
Oof.
But if they release Banjo on Xbox and Nintendo Switch, then I think it can be a success. So what I'm saying is there's no market for Banjo on the Xbox, but there is a market for Banjo on the Switch or on the Nintendo platform. So take that for what you will. Or, so yeah. Come at me and say I'm wrong. That's perfectly fine or whatever. But I think if Microsoft released a Banjo game strictly on Xbox and Game Pass, I don't think it would do very well.
No, I agree. I mean, Super Lucky's Tale, that was exclusive to Xbox. And that did so badly that Microsoft basically just gave the IP back to the dev. So, yeah.
I mean, Banjo would also be on Steam. I'm saying it needs to be on PC, Xbox, and Nintendo. I don't think there's an audience for it on Xbox. That's just me.
I think you need to get it on Nintendo Switch because that's where all the hype was with Smash Bros, man. I think, and they're already putting in the classic Banjo on Switch, right? The N64 one on the Nintendo Online system, right? I think, unless I'm going mad. Yeah, it needs to be on Switch. I agree with you completely and entirely. And hey, Rand, Nintendo isn't in the same market as Xbox, so it's not even a big deal, bro. It's not a big deal.
That's true. Right? That is true. True Iron Leg says, my coworkers that said the deal would never go through are now saying COD sucks and let's go Randall War on this awesome Tuesday podcast. It's amazing how that happens, right? It happened with Bethesda. All of a sudden, once the Bethesda... Well, you know what's... I think people have short memories. Well, you guys don't have short memories in the chat and anyone listening to this, but I recall when the Bethesda deal was announced, right? What was the talking points, Jez? You remember what everybody talked about for months until that round table. The talk was about exclusivity, and the talk was about how Xbox needed to put the Bethesda games on PlayStation, remember? For months, we had these debates about whether Starfield was going to be exclusive, or whether Redfall was going to be exclusive, or whether, Elder Scrolls or whatever. The talk was, it was always sort of with kind of, I don't know how to say this, but that argument always sounded kind of like Xbox needs PlayStation. They're really not going to pull those games from us, are they? Right? Because and it was always like the mainstream media talking about it. When from day one, both me and you were like, no, those games are going to be exclusive, right? And then they were exclusive. And then when they bought ABK, it was a little bit different. And I lost my train. What are we even talking about? I literally just lost my train of thought. What was my main point I was going to try to make, Jez? What were we talking about?
I don't know. I'm not inside your brain. We were talking about people
how
Elder Scrolls was good.
How,
and now it's bad.
How Bethesda used to be great and now they're bad. Yes.
Yeah, because it went exclusive.
Yeah. So now that Bethesda games went exclusive, right? Even though all those same people were saying that they needed PlayStation and the games were going to be on PlayStation and they would come to PlayStation because, that's just how it is. You need PlayStation. Suddenly, Bethesda's never made a good game in their existence. Suddenly, like, Skyrim sucks, and Oblivion sucks, and Wolfenstein sucks, and Doom sucks, and they were never good, even though Sony tried buying them as well, right? And now, with this whole thing, same thing will happen. Microsoft and Xbox owns Call of Duty. Well, now Call of Duty sucks. The only difference here is that Call of Duty won't be exclusive. It'll be everywhere. I mean, it'll be in Game Pass on day one. But yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of PlayStation fans who are like, Call of Duty, I don't want to play it anymore, right?
Well, didn't they say that during the trial that PlayStation's the biggest platform for Minecraft or something, or it wasn't Xbox?
Or was it the Switch that was the biggest Minecraft platform?
It might have been Switch, yeah,
for Minecraft, which I think makes a lot of sense.
But I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation's a bigger platform for Minecraft than Xbox too, And like we were theorizing the other week that the reason we don't have ray tracing for Xbox version of Minecraft is because Microsoft doesn't have a dev kit for the PS5 version, and that they've got parity clauses on it or something like that. It does feel a bit weird. So, but Minecraft going exclusive. Hadn't heard Minecraft. Minecraft's bigger than it's ever been. So, at the end of the day, the vast majority of people who play Call of Duty, they're not into this console warrior stuff. They don't listen to podcasts. They're not doing these back and forths. And I think a lot of people who've been really up in arms about the deal aren't necessarily people who play Call of Duty anyway.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
So, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change, really.
Not yet. Things might change 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
Yeah. A couple of things are going to change. The marketing's going to be with Xbox.
Yes.
Some of the
Call of Duty will come to Game Pass. Yeah.
Call of Duty will come to Game Pass. You won't have exclusive skins anymore. None of that BS anymore.
There might be some exclusives in the short term. Like if there's a Spyro game in development, that maybe comes out and is exclusive, right?
Yeah, maybe. But for the vast majority of the big games that the mainstream plays, like which ain't your Spyros, which ain't your Tony Hawks, evidently, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to Tony Hawk with people of our generation, but there's equally, or well, far many more people who just don't really care about it, and that's evidenced by the sales of the last one, right? But I do think games like Tony Hawk would do really well in Game Pass. And I do think games like Spyro would do probably really well in Game Pass. I do think games like Prototype will do really well in Game Pass, especially like the backwards compatible stuff. So there will be some good stuff for Xbox fans, but I think that those core franchises, they're going to stay multi-platform. And it'll be interesting, Rand, like to your point, what kind of discourse from some of the detractors is going to be about Call of Duty? Like, oh, Call of Duty was always trash. I didn't care anyway. We see that about Bethesda games all the time. Bethesda games were always buggy. Never liked them anyway. Even though like up to the minute they were talking about how great Starfield was. And do you remember, Rand? I don't know if you mentioned this, but do you remember like certain fanboys were celebrating the rumors that Starfield was going to be exclusive to PlayStation?
Yes, I recall that. Yeah. Absolutely, yep.
So there were rumors that Starfield was going to be exclusive to PlayStation. And now those same fanboys are like, oh, Starfield's trash anyway. And that Bethesda's crap and their games are buggy, People are just in this community, the discourse on the forums, Reset Era and NeoGAF and all this kind of stuff. I don't think a lot of them even play games.
No, they don't.
Really.
Well, that's the other. That's the thing. Sometimes I find the people that talk the most play the least, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those. I always say, hey, my profile's not private, right? I know there are a lot of content creators out there that have their profile's private and you can't even find what they play. So you're not even sure if they actually do play anything, or they won't tell you their gamer tag or whatever. I mean, my gamer tag is literally the name of this YouTube channel. I'm very open about the stuff I play. Now, we'll talk about Final Fantasy 16 probably some other time, because I do have some in-depth thoughts about that. But you can look at Randall Thor 19 on Xbox. You can see if I'm playing anything or how far I've gotten into something. It's like same thing on PlayStation. It's all in the description. So you can see if I actually play the stuff I'm talking about. Like, I'm not someone out there who doesn't play anything who is, gonna talk a lot. But there are a lot of people that do. There are a lot of people that talk a lot of smack and really don't play anything. But that's I don't know. That's never been me. I love video games, bro. I really enjoyed playing Final Fantasy 16, even though I have some complaints. Like, that game has some of the highest highs in a video game I've ever played. Some legit 10 out of 10 moments. Stuff I've never seen before in a video game.
Man, don't tell me that.
But then it has. But then
I don't have a place.
But then it has some of the most boring stuff I've ever seen. Where I literally was playing one day for 2 hours and I'm like, I can't play this anymore. I'm so bored out of my mind. Like, literally, 10 out of 10, never seen this before, the most epic shit I've ever seen in a video game, to like 4 out of 10, I'm completely bored out of my mind. How is this even possible, right? I love playing video games. I can't wait to play Oxenfree 2 tomorrow on my PlayStation. Like, I wish I could play it on my Xbox, but it doesn't matter. Like, I'm so looking forward to that game, right? I just played Stories Untold for the first time, which was this like text-based adventure game kind of thing from No Code that I really, really enjoyed. Like, this year's been incredible. I love video games, and I love Xbox, and the games that they make, I think are going to be really good, and they have made some really great games. I mean, that's why I talk about this in the first place. I'm not someone who's like doesn't play games and then makes videos about this. Like, I live this life. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be playing later tonight. Like, I don't know. I guess we're just built some people are just built different,
Built different.
I mean, you play a lot of games too. You just don't finish them.
Oh, dude, I'm the worst, man. I am the worst. Do you know what I've been playing this week?
What? Not Persona, obviously.
Not Persona. I started Tactics Ogre Reborn, for God's sake.
Bro, you're really not going to beat Persona by the end of the year, are you?
And then I was playing Tactics Ogre Reborn, and then I was looking over on Steam, and it was like, hey, Final Fantasy 6 is on sale, Steam sale. It's like, oh damn, Final Fantasy 6, the GOAT, the second GOAT after Final Fantasy 7. I was like, yes, okay, we'll get that. So I've been playing Final Fantasy 6 instead of all the AAA games I should be playing.
I didn't play Final Fantasy 6.
Oh man, it is the story in Final Fantasy 6. Supreme, so good, so good. Highly recommend. It holds up, man. If you can get past the graphics, the gameplay totally holds up. You can suplex a train in it, for God's sake.
Really? They should remake that. Instead of Final Fantasy 9, they should remake 6.
Well, rumor is internally they're pushing for a Final Fantasy 6 remake, but our boy Jeff Grubby Grub of Giant Bomb and the Game Mess podcast on YouTube, which you guys should definitely check out. He's been talking about Final Fantasy IX remake for some time now, which I believe leaked as part of the NVIDIA documents. And he said that it's going to be more of a sort of low-key kind of remake, upgrade the graphics, but not necessarily screw around with the gameplay. It's still going to be turn-based. You played Final Fantasy IX, right, Rand?
Yes. I played 7, 8, 9, 10, 10-2. Didn't play 11 because it was online. Didn't play 12. I played 13. I didn't play 13-2, and I didn't play Lightning Returns. Obviously, I haven't played 14. I played 15, but I didn't finish it. And yeah, I just beat Final Fantasy 16. So I do got to go back and beat Final Fantasy 15, though.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are the best, in my opinion. I haven't played 1, 2, 3, or
Why
4.
aren't they remaking the GOAT? Why aren't they remaking Final Fantasy 8, though? Why did they skip that one?
Man, Final Fantasy 8 is controversial, man.
I know it is.
Some people really hate that game.
I know they do.
I quite liked it.
I love Final Fantasy 8. I love it.
I love Final Fantasy 8, but the story's stupid, man. You got to admit that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't
make any sense.
I mean, the Final Fantasy games don't necessarily always have the best stories sometimes.
Final Fantasy 7 tells a coherent story all the way through, I think. a consistent story. Final Fantasy VIII is just like every now and then the story goes off in this wild tangent where it's like something completely with no foreboding whatsoever, just comes out of nowhere. It's like a different writer took over. It kind of reminds me of The Last Jedi. Where it's just like, oh, okay, we're gonna go in this direction now, like almost like Whiplash, but like they do that like 3 or 4 times throughout the game. This is turned into a Final Fantasy podcast now. But I like, yeah, like I was saying on Twitter, Rand, the other day that like Final Fantasy is one of those franchises where nostalgia kind of cuts through everything for me. Like even if the game is like not that great, the fact the nostalgia can carry me. Like even like when World of Warcraft has a bad expansion, it's Warcraft, so I'll suffer it through. Even when Pokemon's Pokemon, it's Pokemon, so I'll suffer through. Final Fantasy is the same kind of way for me. I'm so nostalgic about that franchise. So like the fact that Final Fantasy 16 isn't on anything I can play on is kind of painful right now. Which is why Microsoft should buy Square Enix.
Oh, geez, they open up that can of worm. I mean, they wanted to. God, people would commit suicide if they ended up buying Square Enix.
Oh man.
We get back to some of these because we do have a lot. BT Maverick, did Colin or Maddie P even defend COG? I haven't heard that podcast, but I would think that is more of an insult if they didn't. Their own co-worker, defining Duke, but that's old news. Hold the line. I don't know. I didn't really listen to that stuff. I just saw the clip on Twitter, but I know COG responded on defining Duke in one of the Constellation episodes, and I think he said something on ILP as well. So it's been rectified. I even think Jaffe even apologized to COG, and so they've worked through it or whatever. And I'm sure Jaffe will be an ILP soon enough. JP says Sony Gaff is drowning in tears right now, loving it. Yeah, I mean, Gaff also was very much like, oh my God, Microsoft got destroyed. That was one of the places that was like, Microsoft got destroyed during the FTC hearing. And it's like, really? Okay, I don't know what alternate world you're living in. Nate, if Microsoft was really serious about winning, Activision would be put in charge of Xbox, not the other way around. I could see the point you're making, but also I don't want Activision in charge of Xbox because we've seen what Bobby Kotick has done. Activision used to make a lot of games, a lot of different variety of games, and now they only really make Call of Duty. And for a long time, people said they ruined Blizzard, right? Until Blizzard, clawed its way back into, not going to say relevancy, but for a while there, people were like, Blizzard is done and over with. So when you look at all the studios that Xbox has, if you put Activision in charge of Microsoft or of Xbox, I fear they would just Double Fine, your Call of Duty support, Compulsion, your Call of Duty support. They would take some of those studios and wouldn't let them make any original games, and put them on support of some of the bigger projects they have that make more money or that could potentially bring in more revenue. Like, at least one of the things you can say about Xbox right now is they're open to smaller projects, stuff like Pentiment or stuff like Grounded, things like that maybe aren't going to tip the scale, that what people would call passion projects. But Activision's not about that. They're about strict hard cash. And we've seen how they've taken their studios and basically turned them all into Call of Duty factories because that's what's bringing in the money. And we know games take a lot longer to make. So if you wanted to keep that up, if they were in charge, I doubt we see a lot of these passion projects because it wouldn't make any sense to them. I think you would see a lot of these studios just be folded into Call of Duty machines, which would probably lead to a lot of those teams being, leaving and stuff. I don't think that would be good. But then again, that was Bobby Kotick's company. I think he's going to leave, so maybe somebody else would be in charge and they would do things differently. I don't know. But I wouldn't want them in charge.
Yeah.
But that's just
me. In the short term, I think they need to keep things as they are because it's a massive company. And I think like oftentimes with these kind of acquisitions, Rand, they do these retention contracts. So it's like, yeah, okay, you've made however many millions from the acquisition, but kind of need you to stay on for a couple of years. You know, I
Yeah.
think Jeff Strain was under one of them from Undead Labs, because they don't want people to like cut and run, right? They still have to work through they still have to work through a bit. So like if they do want to retire, that there has to be some kind of transition period, because it'd suck if Microsoft like bought them out and then everybody left. You know, so I think there will be some kind of transitionary period where it's like, yeah, these are the awards you get as a result of your shares, but there's going to be a retention period and stuff. I think my company does that as well, but I think in the short term, not a lot of stuff's going to change. Some of the things that I would like to see though change, Rand, is like some of the low hanging fruit. Reignite the backwards compatibility program. There's a lot of games that Activision own that could go into that program. Classic Call of Duty games, a lot of them already there, I guess, but stuff like Prototype, stuff that doesn't have licensed music, you know, hopefully, or like even do they have the source code? Can they remove some of that stuff? I don't know, but we'll see, man. I could see things like Diablo 3 going into Game Pass pretty quickly. Older games. But yeah, I don't think organizationally a lot's going to change in the short term.
Yeah, Lofty says, hello, chaps. Just enjoying a cocktail in the back of my 85-foot yacht. Amazing what happens when you suggest hi-fi to a few friends. Appreciate you guys. Man, I want to be on that yacht.
Yeah.
Hargeet.
Why don't you use all your Activision shares to go on?
Yeah, right. We give Xbox plenty of smoke when it's deserved. Probably more to do with Twitter. Guessing those folks don't see our full content. Let's invite those folks to come out to LA next year to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Chris, what do you think is a reasonable timeline to start seeing the games that Xbox will greenlight for Activision teams after the deal closes? 4 to 5 years? I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. Wow.
If they greenlight some new games, it's probably 4 to 5 years. I would imagine, but I don't think they're going to change their current timelines at all. I think every studio's got plans that they're working on right now, more than likely. There's probably some things that might get greenlit under Xbox that wouldn't have been greenlit under Activision, but I suppose we'll wait and see, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think they need to decide what they're going to do with Call of Duty, because if you're going to keep Call of Duty to the 3 year cycle, then you probably can't break away any teams to make other content, because you're going to need them. But if you're going to actually,
I got a feeling they got a plan.
Well, I'm sure they have a plan, but I'm just saying, if you're actually going to give them a year in between, and that gives like the teams way more time, maybe you can have some of them make another game because if you think like, all right, let's take like 2025, Jess. So like Sledgehammer's this year, Treyarch's next year in 2024, right? Say 2025 comes along and it's Infinity Ward, right? But then 2025, you skip 26 and it's 27, right? For Sledgehammer, skip 28, 29 would be Treyarch, skip 30, 31 would be essentially Infinity Ward. So you're actually going from 2025 to 2031. That's a 6-year gap. Now, it wasn't going to take 6 years to make Call of Duty. So in that 6 years' time, they could essentially maybe work on something else in the meantime, or at the same time, depending how big. And we've seen LinkedIn posts that they might be doing that. So,
true.
You know, big AAA games take a long time, and Call of Duty is one of those that's actually, here's the campaign, here's the multiplayer, here's, you know, the free-to-play Warzone. There's a lot of components to a Call of Duty product, right? Just like there is to like a Halo product. So you need
need to convince them to remove crossplay.
We have Hargreed also saying Xbox with Zenny is 5,000 employees. ABK is around 10. I actually just saw some article today that ABK is actually around 17 now. It's a very, very big company.
It's huge.
J Dredd says, Jim Line Ryan, next slide will be Microsoft is going to remove aim assist from Call of Duty from PlayStation COD. Wouldn't that be funny? Jesse, love the show. Big W for Microsoft and Rand today. Highlander, EA is splitting into 2 different divisions. EA Sports Games and EA Publishing is one division, and EA Entertainment will all be the other games. I did see that. It makes a lot of sense, though.
Right? Rumor?
No, they announced that. They're splitting into 2 companies, 2 different divisions. EA Sports and EA EA Entertainment, yeah.
Maybe that's what you do if you're trying to get acquired.
Interesting. Sherman Jacobs says, sorry I'm late. Is Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass? Eventually. Who knows how soon after the deal. gets consummated, but Diablo 4 will eventually come to Game Pass, yes. Butcher X, I've done the challenge. I recommend you eat something solid before eating the chip. Trust me, Jez. So now you're
Something
getting
solid.
Yeah, something solid before you eat the chip.
So, oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
What am I getting myself in for here?
I don't know.
People are telling me I'm going to need an ambulance and shit, man.
I mean, you got free healthcare over there, so.
Joaquin said that he did the challenge, Rand. He did the challenge and he couldn't work the next day. He was so ill.
Wow. Well, I mean,
this is all your fault, man.
Yeah, I told you. I mean, I was so certain that the thing was not going. I was the one who came to you with. Because you were like, I don't think they're not. I'm like, bro, the injunction's not going to be granted. Did you listen to this stuff? You're like, no. I'm like, bro, just believe me. And you were like, it's not going to happen. I'm like, all right, well, let's bet. You feel so certain? Because Jez was so certain that it wasn't going to happen. I could probably go back.
I was like 59.
Bro,
40,
you have tweets.
41,
you have tweets out there that give it a 2% chance the deal actually goes through, bro. No, you aren't trolling about that. You can say you're trolling now, but you definitely weren't trolling when you were saying that stuff. DS Omen says, "Are the Riot and EA partnerships dead soon?" I would assume you're talking about the Riot Game Pass stuff as well as like the EA games and Game Pass. I would imagine the Riot one has probably got some years left on it. I don't think they do that for 1 year. I think that's a multi-year thing. As far as EA Play games and Game Pass Ultimate, that's been going on for a while. I mean, maybe that could end soon, but I haven't really seen EA say bad things about it, and I'm sure they get compensated pretty heavily. So we don't have any information on that either way. Hargeet says the judge is Gen X, not a boomer. My goodness. Yeah, tell me about it, Hargeet.
Isn't that the same thing, really?
No, not really.
No. Aren't you Gen X, Rand?
Technically, I think I'm a millennial.
I don't think so.
I think I'm the upper limit of a millennial, technically.
When were you born, Rand? What year? 1981.
Generation gaps. I'm pretty sure 1981 is like the upper limit of a millennial.
1981. Let's have a look. Where is millennial?
Because my parents are boomers, and usually boomers' kids are essentially millennials. Or no, my parents are kids of boomers' kids. So that yeah.
Oh, dude, you were like right on the edge of being Gen X.
Yeah,
so it's like Gen X is 1980.
And 81's the start of millennial, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like right there, essentially.
So damn, you're like an elderly millennial, man. And there's a lot of Gen X in the chat. Shout out to Gen X's in chat. My boss is Gen X, and he gets very upset if you don't remember that fact.
Oh man. Matt Begins says, Rand, have you read the Silo series? Hugh Howey. No, I haven't, but I do have the books. It is on my it is on my TBR, so I am gonna read that. Michael says the policy side term for what the CMA and the FTC doing is called regulatory capture. It happens when ideology overrides duty and discretion to citizens. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because look what's going on with them. Jodicus, do you think Sony buys Square Enix now? I feel like Final Fantasy 16 was them seeing if and working with Square to tailor a PS style exclusive. I mean, sure, why not? I mean, I don't know.
It's the capital.
I think Sony buying them would probably actually be good for Square.
Yeah, I've been on the record on this show, I think, where I was like, I would love it. I would love it if PlayStation bought Square, if somebody bought Square, because I think Square Enix, the company, is doing a pretty awful job overall with their brands, their franchises. Like, where is the Final Fantasy answer to Genshin Impact? They are leaving money on the table. And I'm not saying, like, you can just make a Genshin Impact clone overnight. But imagine a game that was basically identical to Genshin Impact with Final Fantasy's lore and its characters and its monsters and its magic and all that kind of stuff. They would clean up And instead, they're chasing this white whale of not gacha games, Web3 NFT bullshit, which even Sega has pulled away from now. And Square Enix is going all in on that while they're leaving money on the table when they should be making an answer to Genshin Impact. They are using their IP really poorly. Very, very poorly. And I think a platform holder would pivot that in a better direction, because I think Square Enix's management is trash. But that's just me.
Yeah, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe if you're new. Spartan says, you guys are awesome and I'm happy about the ABK news. Fatfolder93 says, listening from Okinawa, Japan for some training. Love you guys. It's hard to respect Sony fans when you get kicked off their channel for mentioning Xbox. I mean, who would do that? That sucks. I mean, I don't have anybody get kicked. I mean, if you like PlayStation, I like PlayStation too. I would never kick somebody off of my channel if they mentioned PlayStation. I would only really do it if they were being like racist, sexist, or if it was just like constant like
whining
crap over and over and over again, or starting fights with people in the chat. But yeah. I actually haven't really banned anybody. It's usually the mods that might do it. You, however, like to ban everybody.
Yes, I do. I do like to ban everybody.
Yeah.
I really hate two things, right? I hate bad faith takes. I really hate people who are commenting in bad faith. And I really hate it when people try and misrepresent my position or question my integrity. So a lot of the time when I block people or ban people, it's because they've questioned my integrity, or they've just come in there with a bad faith take because they're upset. It's not because they want to have debate. It's not because they want to, express themselves. It's because they want to be a dick. And it's like, it's so easy to tell when someone's doing that. And I just like, well, we're never gonna see eye to eye. So I'm gonna do you a favor and hopefully redirect your energy to something more productive. When I block you, I am helping you. I am helping you do something more positive, because being a dick to me or anyone is not a productive use of your time. It doesn't upset me. It just wastes both of our times. So, yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. We have Highlander. Newsflash, CNBC reports Microsoft and the CMA have agreed to a small divestiture. They gave nor said what they are. Microsoft closes this on Friday. I think the temporary restraining orders in effect until Friday, so I don't think they can close it on Friday. I think Monday might be the earliest they could close it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, sounds like it's over. I mean, I don't know what happens with an FTC appeal. They haven't appealed yet. We don't have any indication that they will appeal. And if they do appeal, I'm not sure at the process how long that takes. I think it's pretty quick, right? And
the judge, apparently the judge can just be like, nah, throw it out.
Yeah, and then with the CMA, we know they're negotiating. How long does it take them to announce some sort of agreement? Would it be sometime this week? I guess if everything goes well, like the FTC doesn't appeal and they come to some agreement with the CMA, yeah, they probably do close on Monday. And then we'll have another celebratory podcast.
Close on Saturday?
I don't think they'll. No, I don't think they'll close. They'll wait till Monday, business day. Markets open. Saturday? I don't think they close on a Saturday or Sunday. I don't think so.
Microsoft works Saturdays.
Yeah, I don't think they will, bro.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think so. Let's see. Daniel says, Jez, make sure you don't touch your eyes when doing the one chip challenge. You could actually hurt yourself. So make sure not to touch your eyes. Inu says, I kind of hate the idea of Microsoft divesting anything for the CMA. They had no case whatsoever, so they shouldn't get any additional win. I kind of feel the same, but then again, I'm not from the UK, and I kind of want this all to be over, so it sort of feels like the CMA is just punishing their own constituents, their own consumers, like making it worse for UK citizens. So,
but the government loves doing that.
Yeah, so. I suppose so. We'll have to see what it is. Maybe it's something small. I don't know. Dub says, question, is there no market for Banjo on Xbox because they themselves have not created one? Couldn't one good game change that around? Potentially. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about there being a market on Banjo. Maybe they make one and it blows up, but I sort of feel like if they felt there was one, we'd probably already have a Banjo. And the way they're talking, and even the rare people are talking about, like, they're like, who do you get to make it? Is there even a developer that out there right now that could really make a good Banjo game? Because you don't want to just make a crappy one. I don't know. Aramix says, hey fellas, this gets spicy with some Game Pass growth predictions post-merger. I'm easily thinking 5 to 10 million new subs will be coming. I mean, it depends on how quickly you can get brand new brand new Call of Duty games in there. And also, let's be honest here. They're kind of limited by how many consoles they have sold, right? So like you want to grow, but where's your growth going to be at? Are people going to want to subscribe for Call of Duty on Game Pass on PC, or will they just be happy playing it on Steam? The growth would be like you have 60 million Xbox Series X consoles.
Oh God!
What?
Breaking news!
We got breaking news.
CMA folded
Completely? Is it done?
Hang on, I'm just checking now. Let me see.
Is it over with? I don't see anything on Twitter. Where are you seeing this, Jez?
Some people. Oh, never mind. I think people are just repeating what we said earlier.
I mean, I see Satya tweeted 2 minutes ago. Today we're expanding our partnership with KPMG as we bring together AI innovation across Microsoft Cloud with KPMG's tax, audit, and advisory expertise to empower employees and unlock insights for customers in the new age of AI. So
yeah, it's not new. Sorry about that. False alarm.
Oh man.
But I think people are some people are sort of reposting the CNBC stuff that the CNBC has reported that a small divestiture has already
and that
been
article
reached.
That was in the article that I read, but that article was also from like 11 a.m.
Yeah, it's not new.
So
never mind. Sorry, my bad.
But I mean, it sounds like it's basically a done deal. It's just a matter of whenever it gets announced, right?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be bad news for Britain.
Of course.
But I think it's going to be cloud divestiture. I think Microsoft might just pull out of cloud entirely and just be like, okay, we'll quit the cloud gaming market entirely in the UK and just offer content to British citizens. But
how's that good for British citizens? Like, I don't understand. That seems like worse if you can't, I don't know, whatever. Let's get the deal done.
That's how it works in this country. The people we elect make the country worse. That's just how we do it here. You know? That's how we do it. That's how we do it in Britain.
Yeah, so they need to have more consoles. I mean, Phil said that they have more consoles to supply, but like even when you look at it now, it doesn't really seem that's the case. Maybe it's going to happen with Starfield, and we got to see how Starfield's going to push Game Pass, right? But I think Xbox doesn't really think a lot of people will switch from PlayStation, and I don't really think that either. I mean, why would you when it's the Call of Duty is going to be on your platform? Like, why would you get an Xbox? People will say, well, you can just subscribe to Game Pass, but buying Call of Duty outright is cheaper than subscribing to Game Pass for the whole year, is it not? But then again, it's like, well, you got all these other games to play, which is true, but then somebody who only plays Call of Duty wouldn't care about that. Like, what's it to a person who only plays Call of Duty that you can also play Hellblade 2 and Avowed? They don't care. They're only here for Call of Duty, so it's cheaper for them not just to play on the system they own and just pay the $70. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there definitely will be people who switch, but I don't know if it's going to be that many. So it depends.
It's not going to be. Why would people switch for this? Like, just for Game Pass? I don't know, man. I can't see it, but we'll see. I could be completely wrong off base.
I mean, some people will.
I mean, do we have any? It's probably not likely. Do we have any PlayStation only guys in the chat who are literally considering switching because of this? I can't imagine there is.
I would imagine it's people that like already have both, and they just were like, "All right, well, I'll get the better deal on Xbox, and I'm already subscribed to Game Pass, so I'll just play it there." I don't know if people will go out there and just buy an Xbox, being like, "Well, this is where I'm playing Call of Duty now," but we'll see. It says, "Mark my words, the narrative will be how Xbox killed COD, when in reality it's just game fatigue. There's 20 CODs now, and people are getting tired of the same game. I stopped playing when Titanfall dropped." Yeah, true. I mean, that's the thing. You never know. Call of Duty might lose. I mean, there's that whole situation going on with the streamer skins right now, and that stuff. And Something's not. It's not going to be popular forever. Something can come along and knock it out of its path. Like, what if the finals gets really popular, or what if the next Call of Duty just sucks, and the one after that sucks, right? And you essentially spent $70 billion for a dying franchise. What? That's a possibility.
Well, I've been talking about this for a while. Like, Call of Duty has to be at its absolute apex. You know, there's like we're seeing demand for competing games. Like some of these small, I don't know if you've heard about some of these small indie shooters that sort of try to and literally their selling point is we are like stripped down and we kind of like trying to be what Call of Duty used to be like. Stuff like BattleBit, you know, for example. Like even though like it has this sort of retro graphics almost, the fact that it's so stripped down and it does well in the areas that matters, like just shooting, and there's no store, there's no skins, there's none of that bullshit that a lot of people are tired of, especially influencers, you know. There is a lot of demand and desire for something to come along and replace Call of Duty, you know. And I think like Microsoft really needs to think about some of that stuff when they're angling for what the future of Call of Duty looks like, because people are really tired of COD. People are really tired of this game. You know, people play Call of Duty because there's nothing else right now. Battlefield completely shit the bed. And, you know, what else do you play? You know, it's a household name, but I think people will switch if something comes along that's just as good, but doesn't have all the extra added bullshit in it. So we'll see, man. But I don't really care about COD. It's all about that Blizzard games, baby.
Yeah, for you.
Doing really well.
Banana Peel Jack, Jez, did Windows Central have anyone at the Baldur's Gate 3 event last week? My height levels are through the roof, and the Dark Urge Origin sounds perfect for you.
No, sadly not. Don't get invited to those events, sadly. But
damn, they need to be inviting you to those stuff. Some says
I got invited to another event that was cooler.
Do you think Sony will go out and acquire someone after this news? If so, who would you have in mind? I mean, they kind of went out and got Bungie. You know, even though they've been talking for a bit, I'm sure Sony's just gonna keep on doing what they do. I'm sure they have targets in mind, just like any company with acquisitions. Tencent's gonna keep on acquiring bits and pieces of companies. This is why it's important to get this ABK thing done, so you can, you know, move on other stuff. I think you need to move on Crystal Dynamics and Tomb Raider and Eidos. Get both of those. You know, Embracer needs some cash, right? We see how bad they are. You know, you need to move on some of those other things that you've been holed up on. I mean, you've even talked about how you know that they've missed out on an acquisition before because of the ABK stuff.
Yep.
And all that will be essentially over. Kendrick Starr, Banjo Conquer Spyro Crash crossover. That'd be pretty cool. Hans, hey Rand, we are Zennials, 1977 and 1985, grown up with analog and digital tech and knowing both worlds. Well, at least according to Jez, I'm like the oldest millennial, but yeah.
You're just the oldest in general.
I'm just the oldest. Eduardo, Rand, glad you're feeling better. Looks like that ABK 69 billigrams is a great medicine. Well, you know, it's like when you're sleeping and then like Jez calls you and is like, it happened, we need to do this. And it's like, I already kind of feel bad we didn't do a podcast on Friday and we didn't do it yesterday. So I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm glad we're doing it. You know, I knew it would be a big show, and I did have some things to get off my chest, especially with the Xbox Illuminati bullshit that had been going around. And it was like, I knew the Xbox fans wanted to come in here and celebrate. Just like if they close next week, we'll have to do another one, right? And we're probably thinking about doing an extra show on Friday. Like maybe we get Gaz in here on Friday, and Colt, and maybe Cognito, maybe Miles, maybe some other people, and we just talk about some stuff and just have another big podcast, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how everything goes. Yeah, I was kind of hoping there would be more breaking news, like CMA, you know. CMA's given up. Haita says, hey, if they bought Sega, I think Sega would be Xbox, while ABK and Bethesda are separate, equaling Sega exclusivity. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, because all that stuff with Sega was before the ABK stuff. So now that they would have ABK, how exactly does that all play out? We don't know. So Bro, what a day! I'm telling you, man. Whew.
What a day!
What a day!
Should we hit some Patreon?
Well, is there any other sort of topics that we missed before I go to the Patreon questions? Is there any other topics that we haven't gone over? I mean, we read some of the judges' reports. Did we read Brad Smith's report or the Brad Smith's quote? Does that really even matter?
Nah, it was just basically saying we still want to work with regulators to address concerns. I felt like that was kind of like, you know, yeah, we know there's another court case coming kind of thing. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything at this point, unless like something happens during the Patreon questions. But let's grab some Patreon questions, and then I've got to get back to work.
All right, let me go.
I'm still at work.
You're still working? You're done Prime Day? Oh,
yeah,
there was the Xbox showcase today, the Indie ID at Xbox showcase, right?
Yeah, apparently it's pretty good. Seeing a lot of
any standouts?
Yeah, so there's this one standout that I'm quite interested in called Worldless from Thunderful. It's like, it looks a bit like Ori. It's a Metroidvania, but it's a turn-based Metroidvania, which I've never seen before. I'm sure they exist, but I've personally never seen it before. So that's one game that I saw that was interesting. We actually have a full roundup of every single trailer from the IGN showcase. If you don't want to go and watch the whole thing, all of that is up on Windows Central right now. So after the show, go and check that out. Share it as well. I'd really appreciate it. We really need the traffic. So yeah, thank you very much, and thanks to everyone who shared my article today about the deal. It really helped.
Jez, I don't think you ever made a question thread on Patreon.
Oh really?
I mean, unless I don't see it.
273.
I see gameplay poll and topic discussion.
Oh crap! Did I screw up? Yeah, I screwed up. I screwed up really bad.
I don't see.
I screwed up really bad. Yeah, did I know already that it probably wasn't going to be a show or something? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't make a thread, so that's my bad. So
I mean, let's take some questions from chat then.
Yeah, we'll take some questions from chat, and for everyone who's listening on Patreon, what I'll do is we'll give you guys 2 questions for the next main show, so you'll be able to ask 2 questions next time. I'm sorry, that's my bad. Last week was just crazy with travel and stuff, and I really screwed up.
Mr. Nichols says Microsoft and the CMA are in talks, as CNBC reported. Indeed. So, since we don't have any Patreon questions, since Jez didn't post it, drop us down some questions in chat. You know, add an @Rand or whatever so I can see it pop up. And, yeah, if you want to be spicy, let's be spicy. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Aramek says, I was basing Game Pass growth off of bolstering Game Pass PC as well as the push for Game Pass Mobile by the end of 2024. If that comes to fruition, does that change your opinion? I mean, 5 to 10 million by the end of 2024? I guess it depends on when the next COD actually joins. But, I mean, they could probably get that amount from, you know, Diablo and, well, I don't know. I think that's a good... It also depends on what they're at now and how many consoles they decide to... put out, right? Like to make and stuff. But yeah,
I'm gonna put up a Patreon question thread right now and see if we get people asking questions.
Okay, Drawn TJ, try Mad Dog 357 Gold Edition Hot Sauce 1 million Scoville. That's for you, Jez.
Oh man, 1 million Scoville.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna put this on.
Somebody said that the CMA just made the deal. It's on their Twitter right now.
Oh really?
I don't know. Somebody said that in chat. I don't follow the CMA, but
hang on, I'm heading over there. CMA. Nope.
Nothing.
Nope. There's nothing.
Fake news.
Fake news, bro.
Fake news. Let's see. What do we got? What kind of questions do we have here from the peeps? We have Thaneros saying, Rand, do you think Xbox Game Studios will be hands off with ABK? Yes, I do. I mean, they're already sort of hands off with Bethesda, and we've already seen from the court documents that, you know, Activision Blizzard would be a limited integration company kept completely separate. So yes, and I doubt Matt Booty will have any oversight, and that, you know, the head of Activision would be reporting directly to Phil. So they probably will be hands off. Is that good or bad? That's up for, who knows? We'll have to find out. Chris Washington, first super chat. Thank you. He says, will Activision version of Spider-Man come to Game Pass soon? Probably not. I think those licenses for those games, Activision no longer has the licenses, which is the reasons why those games are delisted, and they probably don't have the rights to do it. So no, I don't expect those Activision Spider-Man games to come to Game Pass or be part of backwards compatibility because they don't have the license for it. So I would not expect that. Enigmatic Dreams. Whatever happened to Southbound? I don't know.
I met Southbound in LA.
Yeah, Southbound. I know Southbound was out in LA, hanging around everybody there because he lives over there. Things happen. People come in, people come out, people do the podcast, people don't do stuff. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. I don't know. I mean, I talked to Southbound maybe last year, for a little bit, but you'd have to ask him. Yeah. What do we got here? We have one from Dan. Do you think, with all the crap and bad press that PlayStation has gotten from all the revelations in the trial, is Lion Ryan in trouble? No, Lion Ryan's not in trouble. I mean, you look at what PlayStation is right now. They're making more money than ever. So he's probably good, and I doubt Sony probably felt this deal would be blocked. I mean, it's been delayed, but it's going to pass before the deal expires. Hey, give it up to Jim. They put on a good defense, and they almost convinced a lot of the regulators, right, that this was something that needed to be done. I think Jim's reign, like, if you look at it, okay, there's two ways to look at it. There's looking at it from the fans' perspective and the investors, shareholders' perspective, right? The fans, as long as PlayStation puts out great games, fans will be happy. At least certain section of fans. There's a certain section of PlayStation fans that don't want anything to come to PC, that hate that stuff, and they'll probably always hate that stuff, right? But with God of War Ragnarok being the fastest-selling PlayStation game ever, Spider-Man 2 probably coming out this fall being the fastest-selling PlayStation game ever, right? As long as they still deliver those, and they have this really good growth on console, it's probably good. However, I think it might come down to their whole... I think it will come down to how their live service push fares, right? We already know, we've seen Fair Games, we've seen Concord, we've seen the problems that the Last of Us game had. If all their live service stuff is a failure, and maybe the revenue that Sony generates starts to decline year over year and stuff like that, like maybe they would go for a different vision. I don't know. Because they are investing a lot of money in live services, as we've seen from their internal graphs, right? Their internal documentation to investors. A lot of money into live services. And if those don't hit, that's a lot of money wasted chasing trends. So maybe there would be a reckoning. And also, keep in mind, Jim's old. He's up there in age. He's probably not going to be around forever. So somebody else might come in with a different vision. Just like Phil's not going to be around forever. Somebody else is going to come in with a different vision, potentially. Maybe change some things. Just like how Satya had a different vision than Steve Ballmer, right? So, yeah, his legacy would probably be built around the live service stuff. Adam F., member for 20 months. Glad to see the ABK deal is nearing an end. Also nice to see the die-hard ponies quiet for once. Love you guys. And leave a like, y'all. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button, please, and subscribe. Keyshawn Thompson, member for 19 months. He just wants to say hi. Hi, hope you're having a great day, man. Super Duck. Jez, drop the link to the chip so I can suffer with you to celebrate the deal not getting blocked. Oh, man.
You want a link to the chip?
He wants a link for the chip.
Are you on? Right, a link to the chip. Let's do it. Drop a link
to the chip.
So if you guys wanna try this Red Hot Reaper thing, there's the UK link, and let's find the Amazon. Red Hot Reaper. Red Hot Reaper chili. One chip challenge. But yeah, we got some Patreon questions coming in now.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want, here's the UK.
Rodham Design member for 32 months. Evan Wells just announced he's leaving Naughty Dog. Is he coming in to run Activision? The timing seems convenient. Jez, what do you...
That's strange.
Is Evan Wells, did he actually leave?
I have no idea.
We'll find out, bro.
No idea.
Volload66, how much do we need to shout at Microsoft for them to go to Disney and Paramount for all those licenses? Need My Web of Shadows, War, and Fall of Cybertron. I mean, I would love to the Transformers games, yeah. Oh, wasn't there another game announced this week? Oh, yeah, Black Panther from EA was announced this week, wasn't it?
Was that announced or just the studio?
There was rumors that they were making a Black Panther game, but no, they announced it on Twitter.
Oh, so it wasn't even a thing.
And it was I think a new studio as well. That EA's really in the license business. They got the Star Wars licenses, and they're making a Black Panther game, and they're making an Iron Man game. They're really in. They're really making some single player stuff.
They must have had some success with it then, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Jedi games are a success, right?
I suppose.
The Rumbling Gamer Guy says, why does everyone think the COD studio cycle will stop after the acquisition? Microsoft already said they'd run as is. Also, they're not going to interrupt a big source of current revenue.
I think they did kind of hint at that as a sort of possibility at some point, I want to say. But it is a bit of an assumption, though. Yeah, you're right. I think it's kind of like a nice to have kind of thing that people are imagining. But yeah, it is an assumption. We'll just have to see how it goes, I guess.
Let's see what else. Edward King, who else is next for an acquisition after ABK? I mean, acquisitions are always... We talked about, like, hey, Certain Affinity or Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and IO Interactive, and I mean, we've seen the list that Microsoft was looking at, so you can just look at that list. Obviously, stuff like Bungie would be out, but I mean, Microsoft also made a lot of partnerships with a lot of those studios on that list for Game Pass titles. So, I mean, I guess anybody really, but I would go with the ones that Microsoft are currently working with, like Certain Affinity. I think you need them for Halo, especially if you like what they're making. Or IO Interactive, I don't know. I mean, Mike,
got some... Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I cut you off. I was going to say we got some Patreon questions.
Okay, I'm just reading some more of the chat ones. Dan says, I can see some support studios getting picked up next because they're already actively involved with projects being worked out. Thoughts? I mean, I could see that happening. I mean, Sony bought some. Support studios are going to be worth a lot in the future. I could totally see that happening. Yeah. But acquisitions are always tough to really kind of pin down because talks always happen. It's just a matter of do they get to the end. And Pneumatic Dream says, what happened to Scalebound? Dead and buried, hopefully. Jstrom, could Jez eat a box of hot tamales candy instead of the hot chipped? I'm worried about Jez. Man, people are worried about you, bro.
And I'll demolish this hot chip. Don't worry about me, bro. Carolina Reaper, more like Carolina, I don't know, something not very hot.
Volord, what do you think about Phil's prior comments of being able to put out an Xbox mobile app store as early as 2024 if ABK closes? Well, we know mobile was a big part of this purchase, and they've talked about that store, so I would imagine that will happen. I mean, but the thing is, I don't really care about the mobile stuff. I know it's important, but as for me, I'd never use it. Says Plague Tale 3 or Ori 3. P.S. Really hope we don't lose the Sobo. My personal pick for acquisition. Weren't there rumors that someone's making a new Ori game?
I don't know where that came from, but that would be really... It wouldn't be Moon Studios. It would be someone else.
It'd be somebody else. I mean, I could see them wanting to continue Ori. People are saying Tom Warren has the source. Oh yeah, he just reported exactly the CNBC stuff. That's just the stuff we talked about way earlier in the show because I had seen it. Josh wants to know, is Xbox showing anything at the Tokyo Game Show? Maybe a new partnership. Oh, do we know if they're actually going to be at the Tokyo Game Show?
Xbox, yes, they will be there. Yes.
Okay, so do we think they're gonna? Yeah, I mean, didn't Matt kind of say there could be more announcements this year, different shows, because they didn't announce everything for 2024 yet?
Yes. Oh, and Evan is retiring from Naughty Dog, so it doesn't look like he's going anywhere else. He's just going to retirement, 25 years.
Retirement, and then to run Xbox, to run Activision. Limitless Pajama. Not sure if you guys spoke about this, but any idea what may become of BattleNet launcher and stuff? That'd be your area, Jez. What happens with the BattleNet?
So I've argued that they should replace PC Game Pass with BattleNet. BattleNet is orders of magnitude better than what Microsoft has on PC right now in every single way. BattleNet has existing user base of tens of millions of people, so I think it would be absolutely insane of Microsoft to get rid of it. I think what they might do is they might integrate the friends lists maybe or something, but I don't think they'll get rid of BattleNet. Activision itself tried to get rid of BattleNet, and the backlash was so massive they kind of relented and instead put Call of Duty onto BattleNet. People love that thing, man. So no, they won't. If Microsoft has any brains whatsoever, they will leave BattleNet the hell well alone. Otherwise, they'll have me to talk to. But yeah. Chris, I think there'll be integration. There won't be. It'll be fine. It'll stay where it is.
Chris Washington says, Rand, I finally hit 1 million gamer score. Any news on Titanfall 3? Well, congrats on hitting 1 million. And no news on Titanfall 3, unfortunately. Oh, we did get the announcement that Xbox is coming to Gamescom. They're going to be on the show floor and stuff, right? Are we expecting anything?
Yeah.
And are you going to Gamescom?
I am indeed going to Gamescom. So you will see, if anyone here listening is going to Gamescom, look out for a fat guy.
Wait, are we going to be able to have a podcast then, or no? Am I going to have to? Am I going to have to get a guest host?
You're going to have to get a guest host again.
A guest host. Somebody says, Docs to Fox says, Jez, can we get some roses to In Exile? They are amazing, and tagged you guys in a new post. Is this true, Jez? Were we tagged by In Exile?
Oh, did that really?
That's what Docs to Fox says.
Oh,
did they tag us in something?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to see the timeline these days because Twitter's so messed up. But I can't see any taggage. Maybe in a reply somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, In Exile's awesome. The chap who runs In Exile's marketing actually used to be at World of Warcraft. I found out recently, and he's actually quite a legend in the World of Warcraft community. So. Yeah, so shout out to Bashiok.
Oh, they actually replied to your one chip challenge with the YouTube video of them doing it. Yeah, it looks like.
Oh, really? They did it?
It looks like
That's incredible.
Bro, I don't know if you want to do this.
Oh, really? Well, I need to watch that video.
You need to watch
I've
video.
ordered it now, man. I've ordered it. We're doing it. Rand, shall I get some of these Patreon questions?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so we've got one question here from Logan Mayer. Will Smash Bros. Type Brawler Logan. Will a Smash Bros. Type Brawler of Mario Kart Crash type racing type game happen now? Certainly they have the characters to pull it off now. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that's always been said about the whole idea of Microsoft owning all these franchises, that they have so many iconic characters now that they could put together into a Mario Kart kind of game, Crash racing kind of game, or even a Smash Bros. Brawler, or even a MOBA like Heroes of the Storm. One thing, because, back in the day, even before Bethesda, I actually asked someone at Microsoft this, and they said, we have to earn it. We have to earn the right, we have to earn the sort of the franchises that people want to celebrate, So I kind of feel like Xbox thinks there needs to be a groundswell of love for its characters before they want to go for that right now. And I suppose, with Halo kind of, falling off a bit and Gears being on the back burner and stuff like that, they do have a lot of characters that they could bring together into one massive game, and I personally hope they do it. But the chance of it happening is massively increased now. The closest we've had to it previously was Killer Instinct, which had loads of characters from Microsoft IP in it, and I think it was a great celebration of that stuff because the characters they did put in that game were really well done. Like, they played exactly how you'd expect them to play from their respective games. Maybe it'll be Killer Instinct 3, man. Maybe that's where they do it. But we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, they should. They should make a kart racer. They have enough properties. Same thing with the
Forza.
But the thing is, like, they can't even find a dev to maybe make Killer Instinct. They just don't have the internal dev to make those, right? And if acquiring ABK, you don't get a dev that would make those. So you'd have to hire out. What?
How about this? Forza Horizon takes a break 1 year, and they make Forza Kart instead.
Maybe.
How would you feel about that?
I mean,
and it's not just a typical track-based kart racer, but it's like an open world cross like IP celebration. So like there's one open world map that's kind of like a Halo ring. There's one open world map that's something from Gears, or there's one open world map that's something from one of Blizzard's IP and stuff like that. You know, I think like a Forza car, I think that'd be a really cool game to make. But,
yeah, we have a super chat here from EO now. Still blown away Sarah Bond brought Jez beans. Maybe the next event Rand goes, she'll bring him some salt and pepper. Dude, Sarah Bond has no idea who I am, okay? I'm basically unknown by people at Xbox. Nobody knows me. You know?
You never come out. You always stay at home.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody knows.
I don't know why he didn't come. Like Chicago to LA.
I wasn't, because you weren't gonna go, and I was like, no, I ain't going. And then all of a sudden you were going, bro. Did you even ask Sarah Bond about me? Be like, hey, do you know my buddy Rand and our podcast that we do Xbox 2? Probably didn't even.
I did.
You probably didn't even ask her. Goes to show how much of a friend you are. Chinokai says, couldn't an Exile work on Arcanium after this merger? Could they, Jez? Is this something they could do?
What? Arcanum? What did he say?
Arcanum. Could an Exile work on Arcanum? Well, I mean, they're doing...
Yes, potentially. They're doing Clockwork Revolution, but I do think we'll see Arcanum have some kind of renaissance now.
All right, next. We got more questions, Jez?
Yeah, another Patreon. Michael Martinson says from Patreon, do you think some of these Call of Duty support studios, High Moon, Raven, Toys for Bob, will be able to start their own projects? We talked about that extensively through the show. I think potentially if they pitch to Microsoft and they're like, look, we've got a great idea for a new Spyro game in terms of Toys for Bob, for example. Like, if Toys for Bob's Twitter account was actually tweeting random pictures of Crash recently, which made some people think maybe a new Crash, classic Crash is in the works. But I know Raven as a studio is very attached to Warzone. And, you know, their devs constantly talk about Warzone. They love Warzone. So I don't think, like, with regards to Raven, I don't think you can even consider them a support studio anymore because they own Warzone. Raven isn't a support studio. So they pretty much own Warzone. And Warzone makes a bucket load of money. So maybe not Raven. High Moon, maybe. Possibly. Maybe Microsoft wants to grow some of those teams out. Take the director's visions and apply them across more teams. But, you know... Microsoft, you know, we've seen them struggle with 343, you know. So, we'll just
I guess it all depends. It all depends.
It all depends on
that. I mean, if they're going to stay hands off and let Activision run it, maybe nothing changes. If they kind of like, oh, we're going to go to skip a year, maybe that could essentially free up some. But Call of Duty is such a monster and it makes so much money that it's one of those things where, as much as I hope like Beanox and High Moon Studios could make their own projects, I'm not necessarily sure they'll be able to right away. Maybe in the future, but I would imagine right away probably not. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe they can. There's too much we don't know. Maybe they Phil and them could answer that and like you know, maybe they have some Q&A after the deal, you know, goes through about their plans or whatever, right? So,
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Paul Vidas says, what date do you think Activision games will hit Game Pass? As we said earlier that, like, my current thinking is that some of the older games might hit sooner rather than later. I can see Diablo 3 going into Game Pass, for example. I think that would actually be pretty good for Diablo 3.
Diablo 2 as well, right?
Oh yeah, Diablo 2 and 3 maybe going into Game Pass because those games still get seasons. and those games still have a lot of players. So especially in the case of Diablo 2, like people just like married to the nostalgia for that game, much like Age of Empires 2. Like, even though they made Age of Empires 3 and 4, it's Age of Empires 2 is the one that everyone plays. So I think like Diablo 2 going into Game Pass would be a really good show, and that would probably happen sooner rather than later. But I think with some of the games that are still, a lot of their projections revolve around current sales, like Diablo 4. I don't think you'll see Diablo 4 in Game Pass this year. I don't think. Could be really wrong about that. I'm being a bit pessimistic when I say that, but I would be personally surprised. But I think like that it'll be a slower process than what Bethesda was probably. I would think. Do you think otherwise, Rand?
Nah, I think the same. I mean, let's say the deal closes on Monday the 17th. I could see something happening as early as the following week, or maybe a month later. I think they'll add stuff soon. The question is how soon, because how close was them closing the Bethesda deal and then that round table where they added everything? It was like a week, wasn't it? Or was it a month? Am I misremembering?
Can't remember.
I
can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be soon for
a while.
Yeah, well, that's why like whenever this does close, they need to come out and say what their plans are. We have anything else, Jez? Oh, we got a super chat here from Preem. First super chat from him. He says, Bulla from Fiji, guys. First ever super chat. Thank you for all that you do. Crash Bandicoot and Scalebound when? Scalebound. Crash
Bandicoot in Scalebound?
Crash Bandicoot is the main character of Scalebound.
If we ever get Crash Bandicoot skin in Scalebound, I will eat 5 of those hot chips all at once.
Speaking of like Scalebound and Platinum made them, Platinum worked on Final Fantasy 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
And without even telling you, I don't know what they made, but I could tell you just from playing the game what sequence they probably made.
Go on.
They when I was playing through the game, I thought like this has to be the section that I bet you they worked on all the big econ fights, like the Ifrit versus Titan fight specifically. I bet you Platinum helped out on. Bro, I'm telling that Titan fight, those huge fights, bro. You're talking about fights on a scale I've never seen in a game before. Honestly,
did they work on Final Fantasy 7 remake as well? Because I know Final Fantasy, but what's one of the things Platinum does? They have these like seamless transition. They did this in Metal Gear Rising as well. Like you'll be fighting the boss, and there'll be a seamless transition into some epic set piece. Like when you run up Metal Gear Ray and slice it apart and stuff like that. Platinum, it's almost like their signature now. Final Fantasy 7 has those moments as well. Like maybe not on the scale of Final Fantasy 16, but I'm just wondering, like, man, maybe they should buy Platinum. I don't know.
I mean, they should definitely work with Platinum.
Scalebound, bring it back.
No. Anything else, Jez? We got any more questions?
Nope, that's it from Patreon. I'm really sorry to do that at such short notice because
but we're probably gonna have another show later this week, so we'll definitely have another one.
Yeah, we'll double up on the questions for the next show
do
because
I see a couple more here. We got one. One from Ralph. Jez, would you rather eat the one chip challenge or give up mayo for a year?
I'd probably do the one chip challenge. I do like my mayo. I had some mayo today, actually. I had mayo and tuna salad for dinner. Ralph's always bringing the cool questions.
Yeah, let me go through because I asked for people questions in chat. Let me see if there's any more.
I should also apologize. I haven't done any timestamps for this episode. So
and you didn't do any timestamps for last episode. People are getting angry. They want their timestamp. They weren't in the Discord. No, they weren't. Go look. Right now, as we're both in here, go to the timestamps. There's no timestamps for last episode.
What was the last episode?
Oh wait, there. Is this last episode? July 2nd? It was July 1st.
Yeah.
This was not here. When I went to go put timestamps in here, this was not here when I went to do it.
Yeah, I hadn't pressed enter.
Well, so yes, okay.
The timestamps were on the audio version.
Oh, well, they weren't on in here in our timestamp thing. So when I went to go put timestamps into the episode, they weren't. You didn't.
Yeah, I forgot to press enter to send the message to you. So
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you would have seen it because it flashes up white when you get a message on Discord.
No, I didn't see it. Well,
Bleh.
anyways, we apologize for that. Thiel via Dreams first super chat. They say Kung Fu Chaos Power Stone 2 type game, Ninja Theory back in the OG Xbox days, using characters from Spyro and Crash Master Chief, Doom Guy, Banjo Conquer. People got some dreams out here, bro. I mean, they own enough now where they could easily make a type of game like that. Whether it's a racing game, a kart game, whether it's a brawler, whether it's something. I mean, you have so many incredible IPs that you have to do something like that, right?
They have to do it.
Let's see. Sparhawk says, once the deal's done with ABK, do you think they will restructure the gaming studios, maybe into divisions that make certain kinds of games? I doubt it.
Nah, they're gonna leave that well alone.
Yeah, let's see if there's anything else here. Harbinger says no cloud gaming in the UK and allow the EE to provide the service. I mean, this sounds like that potentially could be the remedy. Mike says, what do you think happened to Final Fantasy? I heard it bombed. I don't know. I mean, they shipped 3 million in 3 days or 5 days or whatever. And Square Enix hasn't come out and said if they're happy or upset with the sales. I mean, 3 million in 5 days is pretty good. We won't know for sure what they think. But I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. I mean, I did everything in the game essentially. I have like all the trophies except 2, because the other 2 were like beat the game on the hardest difficulty, which only unlocks after you beat the game, and then master every ability, which you can't do in one play. You can't even do in 2 playthroughs because it costs too much AP. So I did everything else. I did all the side quests. I did all hunts. And that was about 60 hours. So let me see. Any more questions here? Coffee Jesus says, Jez, you spoke about the COD studios earlier. Do you think a freed up Infinity Ward could take a potential horror Halo reboot, something different for them, reignites the franchise?
Man, I just don't see that. I mean,
that would be something that would probably
have.
That'd be something that would have to come from them. I think that'd be something like Infinity Ward brings and be like, hey, we want to work on this from Halo. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think they would do that.
The one thing I could see happening is a Halo Call of Duty ODST spin-off, kind of something like that. But I don't think. But honestly, I don't know. A lot of these teams just work on kind of what they want to work on,
Yeah.
Just under the mentality that we need a game every year, That's the question, really. Is like, are they going to change that?
We have another one here from J-Strom who says, let's see, how fast can Xbox put Rod Ferguson in charge of Halo? Well, then who's going to be in charge of Diablo or in charge of Blizzard, right? If they do that.
I don't think so. I think Mike probably stay where he is.
We got another first time super chat here from the Furtive Pygmy. Thank you. He says, first time catching you guys live. Have been following the show for a long time now on Spotify. Keep up the good work, you two. Jez, love your articles.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I love it when people come in here and are like, this is my first time watching live. I normally listen on the audio version.
Yeah.
Because the audio version's like, we sort of did that as an afterthought. We didn't even do that right away, right?
No, about a year or two.
It was like, I think it was like a year, and then we were like, all right. And I think you really wanted to be on the audio. So I was like, all right, so we do the audio.
Yeah. And
I love it when we do the live show and people are like, this is my first time watching live. I usually listen later. And it's like, there's people out there that think, it takes away from the live show. But it's like, no, I think it just expands your audience. Sure, some people might not listen live or listen on YouTube, but some people prefer to listen, because I know it eats up a lot of, if you want to listen on YouTube, it does eat up a lot of like data but if you can just download it from Spotify and stuff. So yeah, it's always super cool. And I always love to see where everybody's from. You know, it's like all the different cool places the Xbox 2 reaches. So it's pretty damn awesome. Let me check the Patreon one more time to see if there's an extra question before.
Oh, there's one for achievement.
Okay, what did achievement say?
Achievement, Patreon pal says, what ABK game do you think gets in day and date on Game Pass first? That's a good question.
Well, that would be whatever releases next, right?
Well, it won't be Call of Duty. The next Call of Duty. Do you really think the next Call of Duty could?
I mean, chat. What do you think? Do you think Call of Duty 2023, Modern Warfare 3, which hasn't been revealed yet, do you think are they gonna put that in Game Pass this year? What do you guys think? I mean, we know it has a deal with Sony for the marketing for that game. And I'm pretty sure during the trial, they've talked about how they can't really put any new Call of Duty games into Game Pass until, I want to say it was 2024 or 2025. I don't know. I would say we'll have to wait and see on that one. Maybe Microsoft says screw it, and they put this new Call of Duty in Game Pass. I don't know. But Sony does have the marketing for it, and does that preclude it being on Game Pass? It potentially could. So if it's not this year's Call of Duty, maybe it's next year's Call of Duty. And if it's not a Call of Duty, when do we think Odyssey's coming out?
Well, I think I would bet money that Odyssey gets revealed at BlizzCon this year.
Right, but I mean, when does it actually release?
So usually things that are announced at BlizzCon are within a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe 2024 holiday season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it'd be sooner than that, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. I mean, they might have some other games we don't know about, like that Crash game we've been rumored for a while. Maybe they have some other stuff. So it'd probably be one of the Call of Duty games. But anyways, man, this has been quite the show. It felt good.
Epic show.
To when I said we should be spicy and you should be spicy, you never go spicy. I'm always the one who has to go dark Rand. You hardly ever go dark Jez.
Oh man.
I need you to go dark Jez at some point, you know?
I went a little dark. I was dark all over that guy ratio.
Yeah, that's true. You did ratio that guy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show very much. Thank you for being with us. We had like 2,700 people live. There's still like 1,900 of you guys watching, essentially 3 hours later. We appreciate all of you. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Should have a video coming out tomorrow about all this. We'll probably put together a new show for Friday. Maybe get some friends from the community to come in here to talk about some stuff. And then who knows about next week? If they close the deal next week, we'll probably do emergency podcasts and then also do a regular one on Friday. Could just be a lot of podcasts from us and some videos. So make sure you're on the lookout for Jez's articles, breaking news, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we're going to be thinking about guests for Xbox 2+1, so check out the Patreon, patreon.com/XB2. And thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. You can use our code XB2 at the checkout to get 20% off of everything and free shipping. They've been a sponsor for us for quite some time, so we appreciate them working with us. But yeah, until then, we will maybe see you on Friday. So keep it gaming. We love you guys. Later.
Rock and roll, baby.